Okay, everybody, welcome once again. This is our little soiree, Conspiracy or Not, Here We Come. I'm Aaron, and as always, I'm with the lovely Amy and Bart, and we are joined with my very good friend, someone that I have met in real life, first on YouTube and then in real life, one of those situations, Zack from Tpose. Hi, guys. Hi, Zack, Bart, Amy. Hi, everybody.
Hey, good to be here.
Aaron.
Howdy. Listen, you guys, it is Friday, January 19th. We are getting closer and closer to my prediction date of March 11th, and I intend to continue to remind everybody to keep your eye out on that day. I've got lots and lots of things to talk about tonight. Some things are going to take a little longer than others, but first I want to catch up with Zack, who I genuinely mean it when I say this is my very, very good friend. So how you doing, Zack, and what's been up with you lately?
Great. I've been starting to work on music a little more. That's a hobby of mine. And I just started a security job, so I've been working nights doing security and catching up with you guys, old shows and this and that, learning, trying to delve into different topics that I've never explored, like tarot cards. It's some pretty interesting stuff. Doing a lot of research about the double slit experiments and the Princeton experiments and research.
Tell me about
it very interesting.
The Princeton experiments?
Yeah, they have something. It's called PAIR. I can't remember what it's an abbreviation for, but basically random number generators of all sorts, and they find very interesting things like that you can manipulate data independent of distance and time. There's no learning curve. Groups get better results for affecting random number generators. All sorts of very neat stuff.
So I have heard of the experiment where they use random number generators in exploration of consciousness and how your human consciousness can affect computers, among other things, but computer is one way that we can detect. And I've heard of the random number generator experiments where they put a person in front of a computer which is designed to just spit out random numbers. They tell the person to focus on a particular number, and that number comes up like way, way, way more often than random would account for. So is that Princeton that started that whole process, that experiment?
I believe it was Princeton. It was quite a bit. I want to say in the 70s, late 70s they started, maybe early 80s. They're not the only ones that have done it too. From what I've read, it's been independently. It's been experimented by 258 different sources, and they all get similar results, which I find fascinating because not only is it affecting. I mean, they're recording it, they're measuring it with mechanics, but it seems to me that it could be applied to everyday life, and that's very interesting. And that I'd like to suggest that making statements like 2018 is going to be rough, or to expect something big and bad to happen this year is counterproductive based on those studies.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I agree.
I not only agree, I've been thinking that exact same thing myself lately. These random number generator experiments came after the initial double slit experiment, right?
Yes.
It was after that, as far as I know.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes,
Initially,
yes.
the double slit experiment comes along, and the scientists couldn't tell whether or not, they were shooting particles or they were shooting electrons through passageways with one or two slits, and then had a detector pod. And when they were using the double slit, they couldn't tell which slit the electron was passing through, and then they put up a detector to pay attention to determine which slit the electron passed through. And as soon as they did that, it stopped behaving like a wave and began acting like a particle.
Mm-hmm.
So they determined that it was the observation that changed the experiment. So the observer, the consciousness of the observer, by observing the experiment, they altered the outcome. And then I followed from that comes all these other experiments like the Princeton experiment, right?
Right.
Yep. Speaking of that, there's also the rice experiment that indicates that there's something that's going on.
Yeah, a lot of people have
with
done
our-
that, and there are tons of
Yep.
YouTube videos where people have done
Yep.
the rice experiment. And Melissa and Aaron Dykes from TruthStream Media just did that same experiment last week for the first time.
What's the rice experiment?
The rice
That's
experiment is you boil up a big pot of rice. You have 3 or 4 or 5 mason jars on hand, sterilized and ready to go. You boil up just regular plain white rice, and then you spoon maybe a third. You fill up each jar by about a third, leaving plenty of airspace. And you seal each one. You do it quickly and as scientifically as possible, because I also understand that some people try to debunk it by saying that if you scoop off the top of the rice, that top of the rice has been exposed to the air first. It has cooled off, and so that's the one that typically grows the bacteria and the mold. But the experiment is that you spoon 3 or 4 or several jars of cooked rice in sterilized jars, and on each jar you put a sticker, a label, and you write love and appreciation on one, and you write fuck you on the other one, and then you leave the other one alone with nothing. You just ignore it.
Right.
And then you let it sit for a month or two, and after a month or two, you observe the mold, the bacteria, the discoloration, and again and again and again, the experiment shows that the one that you write love and appreciation and gratitude, those types of sentiments, you write that one on those jars, and they tend to last longer. And in fact, they almost don't grow any mold at all. After 2 months, the appearance of the rice looks like it was just cooked, and it appears to be edible.
I don't know that I'd eat it, but it looks
Right.
good. It looks
Right.
edible. Yes.
And Zack, you've been following me and my channel and what I've been doing on YouTube for a while now. And you know that last summer I did some canning because I've got a garden and it produced pretty well. And I made some videos. And in my videos, when I finished my canning, I put little labels on the top on the date of when I canned that batch. And then at the bottom under the date, on what's space left on the little label, I would write thank you and love and stuff like that. And I remember you left me a comment. You noticed that I had done that.
Yeah, because I do that myself. I leave. Well, not only I'll put. I've got one of those 5-gallon water dispensers, and I'll write love on the side of it, and I'll leave notes around the house that say stuff like that. I believe that has an effect on the subconscious level, and also apparently with material.
Well, we don't have to believe it. I mean, there's quite a bit of scientific data to support that idea. It's really, I mean, I know what you're saying. I believe it too. But the fact is, the difference between believing and knowing, there really is something to it. Thought, emotion, and your intentions, they go out into the world and the universe. And
I can tell you that what I do, every glass of water I get, I hold the glass of water close to my heart and I say, I love you, water. I thank you, water. I bless you, water, before I drink it. And there have been a couple of times when I have forgotten, started to drink the water, and I'm going, oh, and then I'll go through that, and the water actually is noticeably sweeter and more yummy. Yes. I got some chuckles from some people until they tried it and said the same thing.
Oh, you know, it must have been for me maybe 8 or 9 years ago. I replaced my water heater, and sometimes they come with these wraps or blankets that they're like insulating blankets that wrap around a freestanding water heater.
Yeah.
And mine had, it's insulation on the inside, had a vinyl outer, and we took Sharpies. This is during a time when I still had my band, and so I had all kinds of people in and out of my basement all the time. And all my friends would come and hang out, and either my bandmates would come and play and practice, or friends would come and hang out. And I had a Sharpie, and every time somebody new showed up, I would give them the Sharpie, and I would tell them to walk over to my water heater and write something positive. And if you go in my basement right now, the jacket, there's a white vinyl sleeve of insulation that's just covered with graffiti of all kind of positive messages.
Very awesome. Cool.
That's a very cool idea.
So
I wonder if that doesn't touch upon just our a deep human.
Amy, check the Hangout chat. I'm sorry, Bart. Continue.
A deep human impetus to decorate things with symbols or with language or with pictures. I think this might go as far back as petroglyphs of drawing a spiral, drawing a sun shape, drawing an animal shape. In terms of
the triangle, the swastika,
sigil magic.
Exactly.
I've heard it described as sigil magic.
That's exactly right.
And it seems to have these characteristics to it where you can continue to focus, come back and continue to redo the ritual, or there's another way to do it, which is you do it and then you either burn it or whatever, and you forget it and you let it go and you clear your mind, and then when it comes, you go, this is related to the little ritual that I did a week ago. Hey, and then it just encourages you to do it again. And I think it's legitimate. I think it's
it is legitimate.
Yeah, the evidence.
It's a way to it's a way to interact with universe, with the world, and I think that it's only sort of surprising or shocking to anybody who has just been so steamrolled by the technocratic way of looking at the world that we've had foisted upon us, post industrial revolution.
Yeah, it seems that we're made to forget that we're magical beings of sorts. We actually co-create reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I'm saying, we're at this point now where it's like, oh, that's news to me. Yeah. Right, so it's that bad. It's that bad that we're that disconnected that it seems like a rare idea. Although I mean, it's not rare. On YouTube, I think you could easily find over 1,000 people who will be talking about this, making this claim. Well over 1,000 people. Well over 1,000.
Oh yeah,
it seems to be coming back around.
Yeah, it's definitely coming back around. And
yeah, you'll hear a lot of people poo-poo the idea, call it new agey and stuff like that. But this is no joke. Just not paying attention. This is no joke. Your consciousness, and look, this is a whole different subject. I really wanted to get into this with Las Valdez, and Zack is equally qualified to speak on the subject, but I wanted to have like a whole show on consciousness. But absolutely, anybody in the world has had a similar experience to what I'm about to describe, a brother, a family member, a friend, someone you haven't seen or spoken to in a while, an ex-girlfriend, anything like that, you think of this person and you think, oh, maybe I'll give them a call, and boom, the phone rings and it's them.
Only all the time.
Right. So we've all had at least, every human being has had at least one experience like that.
One.
Oh, Amy, you're breaking up terrible, honey.
Sorry.
Amy, you're breaking up terrible.
Well, I'm sorry. I just said I have one that I know of. Did you hear that?
But I thought you were being sarcastic. You really only have one?
Yeah, one time I thought of somebody and they called me.
Okay, well, I'm sure you've had similar situations, probably more than one.
Well, yeah, other such occurrences, but not like I'll get an email from somebody that I've thought about. That's where I get the connection. But then, I mean, I don't have my own phone. I haven't for a while now. So maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, that could have something to do with it.
But I do get emails from people. I'll think, gosh, I wonder what so-and-so's doing. And then I'll check my email and there's an email from them. It's like, whoa, all right. Well, now I can find out.
Well, that qualifies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wonder, when that happens to me, I always wonder, am I the one sending out the vibe and making them call me? Or did I detect that they were thinking of me first and they were, you know what I mean? Who had the thought first?
They were in the process.
Yeah, I wonder that too.
Question.
For me, it'll happen with specific people all the time. And there's one particular person that I don't care to talk to all the time. And it never fails. When I think of them, they'll text me or call me later that day. And so lately, I've been trying to shut the thought out. As soon as it happens, I'll be like, no, I don't want that, and I haven't been getting the call. So
well, hey, maybe that's a sign, Zach. Maybe you should rethink that and spend some time with that person. Maybe you're supposed to teach them something, or maybe they're supposed to teach you something, and you're just denying it because you don't care for their personality or whatever.
It could be.
If you have that kind of connection with someone like that, it may be a sign that you need to spend more time with that person, regardless of.
There's a connection for sure if that's happening. Yeah, I don't know.
Or you just need to get better at avoiding them.
Well, it'll just be I don't know. I don't know what to say more about it. The thought will cross my mind, and that's all it would take, and then it would not fail. It's happened. I don't even want to put a number to it. It happens all the time.
I go in spurts. Sometimes I have like tons of those experiences in a short amount of time, and then long periods where, none of those connections are happening.
I'm surprised you, Aaron, you don't. I was listening to the Nox Mente chat with you in it, and I'm surprised you don't remember your dreams. I guess that's common, but I remember my dreams almost nightly. In fact, I had a dream just last night, or this day, since I sleep during the day. I work night shift, and you were in it. And I'm not going to go through the whole dream because it was not that interesting, really, overall. But
well, you know what? I'm going to make a note, and you and I can talk about that offline.
Okay.
Because I have tried with Jerry and other people. And one of these days, and my family members and my wife, I have tried on many occasions to organize a group of people who intentionally trying to have the same or similar dreams. So,
yeah, shared dream, basically.
Well, I would be all about that if you want to try it.
Yeah, I'm very frustrated because for quite some time now, I've got a little note that I look at before I go to sleep, and I think, okay, tonight I'm going to go and share a dream with Aaron and Bart and whoever else. And it never fails that, as for far too many years now in my life, I wake up and I'm not even aware I even dreamt, let alone what I might have dreamt. It's like I wake up, there's nothing. And it's frustrating to me.
I often remember small portions, segments of a dream. Lots of details are lost after you wake up. I just recently had a pretty significant dream that sort of stuck in my memory after I was awake. And the main detail was that I had to push start a motorcycle. If it was a friend's motorcycle, so someone else was there. I don't remember who. So maybe it was Zack, and so maybe him and I can chat offline and figure that one out.
Yeah, maybe you can make it work.
Maybe you can try taking melatonin before you sleep, because I've noticed that on rare occasion when I will take melatonin, my dreams are significantly more interesting and rememberable.
Oh yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
What form can one take melatonin in? Does it come in a pill form from the?
Yeah.
Health food store carries it. I've taken it, and when I was taking it, I had no more ability to remember dreams than I did when I wasn't taking it.
Huh.
It's very frustrating, because I know, when I was growing up, I had extremely vivid dreams. I was always aware when I woke up that they were dreams, but in them, they were very vivid, and I'd wake up and remember them vividly.
Well, let me ask you this, Amy, because I think most of us have had that experience as children. Do you remember about how old you were when the vivid dreams kind of came to a stop?
It was somewhere in my early 20s when suddenly I just stopped.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what part of the world did you grow up in during that time?
San Diego.
Oh, okay. So you were all right, because I understand that water fluoridation has a lot to do with it. And by the time you reach 10 to 12 years old, your pineal gland is sufficiently calcified.
Right. Yeah, I know about that as far as that goes. But San Diego, up till very recently, did not. There was a law on the book making it illegal to add fluoride. But apparently they've monkeyed with that now, and they're starting to add fluoride to their water in San Diego.
So for you in San Diego during that period of time, currently that water was not being fluoridated? Is that what you're saying?
True.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Then that makes sense.
But I did probably get some fluoride when I moved up to go to college, and maybe that was what caused that. But I've been very fluoride conscious for decades now, and done things that they say are supposed to decalcify your pineal gland, and so far nothing has worked.
I understand distilled water is a good decalcifier, is a good decrystallizer or decalcifier, whatever happens to your pineal gland. It helps to dissolve those the minerals that your body doesn't really need or want.
Okay.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that I've had, a very small handful of dreams that were very vivid and very rememberable, but they always had this definite feeling of psychic attack. There was somebody that was trying to hold me, pin me down. They were very bizarre dreams. And in one, not to get too graphic, but I was offered offered a ride back to my daughter by this guy who was just creepy and like envision zombie, your standard moldering zombie sort of a character. I mean, it was like that. And if I performed oral service on him, he would take me back to my daughter, and I knew that there was no way to get back to my daughter except through him. And it was like, oh, I really don't want to do this, but I have to get back to my daughter, and I will do anything to get back to her that I have to.
Ooh, that's awful.
And so I did the service, and so gross. And then I woke up just afterwards, after I did that, and he says, okay, let's go. And then I woke up. I had the taste in my mouth for hours. And this is not something that a normal dream has ever done to me. Ever.
No, that is strange. Very strange.
Yeah.
You said it seemed like a zombie. I was just wondering if it was more like a black figure.
No, it was not. I mean, I use zombie in the sense that his body was decaying and had sores all over it and oozy stuff dripping out of it. I mean, it was really gross. But he kind of, you know, who played the Joker in that one movie? They at any rate, he kind of had that kind of look, although he didn't have the big red mouth, you know, but that look to him. And no, I think he was wearing some black, but figure was all dark.
Okay.
The whole setting was kind of dark, this whole dream setting. But yeah, it was just very bizarre. And like I said, I got the impression that I was under some kind of a psychic attack. And, you know, I had another one where this guy was coming at me and he pinned me down, you know, pinned my arms to my side and was, you know, breathing on me. And I don't know if he said anything, but I just remember saying, "Let me go." And I woke up, and another thing, you know, every time I've woken up in my entire life, I've never seen anything that wasn't there, okay? But I woke up and I'm looking at the floor and I see all these ants, like almost as if, you know, a whole ant hill found, you know, a piece of sandwich. It was that huge trails of ants coming and going from my bed off into the distance on the floor, because I sleep on the floor. And I'm looking at that going, what is that? And I sat up and it vanished. And again, I got this definite feeling that I was under some kind of psychic attack. But these are the dreams that I've been remembering, and they're like, I think I just covered 10 years with those two dreams. So, you know, bizarre. Anyway, onwards and forwards.
I have been taking colloidal gold lately. I got my hands on some colloidal gold at, like, it was a prepper convention that came through town here last summer. And I had read and heard that colloidal gold has some sort of an effect on your consciousness. And I remember through some old research and studies on Egypt years ago that the Egyptians, the priests and the pharaohs would eat and consume gold, and that they said that actually it was monoatomic gold, which is what they were consuming, but they said that it was what allowed them to speak to the gods. And I had read and heard that colloidal gold has an effect on your consciousness and on your dreams, and I'm just going to be honest, I have not noticed an effect. Maybe, if anything, I would say maybe a 5% or maybe a 10% increase in quantity and quality of dreams.
That's along the same lines. I've heard that from other people that have taken monoatomic gold and whatnot, and they say they haven't noticed a significant difference. Of course, there's different qualities of it, and you know.
Yeah.
Well, one of these days I'm going to get very serious and I'm going to gather a group of people together and we're going to make a concerted effort over a long period of time to continuously attempt to have the same dream or to interact within our dreams with each other, or to dream about each other, or to have similar or simultaneous dreams. I'm going to start a dream project like that. And the hardest part is going to be, it's going to have to be people in my time zone so that we're all asleep at the same time, because it's not going to work with people around the world. Our YouTube friend, they're distorting our rhythm, is in Australia, and he's interested in this project, but you know, it's not going to work because he's wide awake while I'm asleep. You know what I mean? So,
and vice versa.
Yeah. So
Yep.
if he's kind of interested, he'll have to, you know, arrange people in his general time zone to work with. Otherwise, I don't see it working with people around the world.
You think that the time difference, I mean, it could be possible that it wouldn't matter once you're in dream time. You know, maybe you could lap over to someone else's dream time while they're in dream time at a different time.
Sure. I have no science to back up anything I'm saying, but I suspect that if you're all asleep at the same time, that the project may work better.
Yeah.
But
I get
right.
that feeling too.
But you're right. It may not matter. I might have a dream about you, or let's say, we'll say Tidor, distorting our rhythm. You know, I may dream about him tonight, and then 12 hours later, when the sun's on my side and he's asleep, you know, he could have the same dream 12 hours later. That's quite possible. I wouldn't put it past reality, you know, the realm of possibility. So, but I don't know. I have no science to back it up.
Yeah, but just as a base point, you'd like to try it with, when all at the same time.
It seems to make sense that way.
Yeah. I'd love to do that.
Well, I think Jerry's on board. I know Amy is. You are in my time zone. Amy's in my time zone. Jerry's in my time zone. And Joe Quick is in my time zone. I don't know how interested he is, though. But there's some other people around. Zack Hawkins, he's also, you know, Joe Quick and Zack and Jerry, they're all in the Atlanta area around me. So there's a group of people I could gather right now. Several of them, including you and Amy and Jerry, all right off the bat, I already know are interested. So maybe soon, maybe one of these days soon, we'll get something going on that front.
I hope so.
And I think,
I'm looking forward.
And Blue Blood, are you interested, by the way? Because you're in Canada, are you in the Eastern time zone, Jay? And I know there's a delay. You just let me know in the chat. I'll be watching. Let's see here. Amy or Bart?
Yes.
Check the Hangout chat.
Yeah, been keeping an eye on it.
No, the chat. I just dropped a message to you guys.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that.
Take care of that, please. Take care of that, please. Thank you. Las Valdez is with us. Las, also, I'll ask you, Las, because I bet you're interested, but I don't think you're in my time zone. Las, what time zone are you in? And I'm looking see if Jason got back to me. Blue Blood. I think Blue Blood might be on the Eastern time zone. Anyway, maybe I'll just post a video and let everybody know that if you're interested, that we'll get something going.
So I've heard you talk about.
Hey, Johnny. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I've heard you talk about selecting a location, a common location that everyone can that everyone can imagine or whatnot. And I would steer away from that. I think it would be best just to focus on the names and personalities and your more emotional connection than an actual physical location to meet at.
Yeah, I was having a similar thought around the difficulty of a location because I can say from my own experience around dreams, they don't tend to be real locations. They're somehow hybridized, fictionalized, improvised type locations. Although I'll have they seem to be like some dream space locations that are the same, and I go back to them multiple times, or I'll have that sense of like, oh, that's that same house.
Yeah, me too.
But it might not have the same shapes, but somehow I know it's the same house. It's kind of like that thing where you're, you know, somebody has a different face, but you know that it's this person that you know. So whereas I think it might be what if the central object of focus was some sort of object, something like really simple, like a red ball came to mind, or red balloon, right? And everybody focuses on red balloon, and maybe that will be enough of a clear image to, but simple enough.
I'd say something like a pool table would be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Something easily identifiable to all, something we can all easily relate to.
Yeah.
Las Valdez is in Florida, so he's in our time zone, and I know that he's interested in consciousness-based subjects. So he said he doesn't dream very often, but maybe he's interested anyway. And I'm still waiting on Blue Blood. Maybe he left for a minute, but I'll figure out what time zone Blue Blood is in.
I could have sworn he was somewhere in the easternish part, but I could be wrong.
Well, anyway, we're going to get that going real soon. Look, you guys, there's some stuff I really have under my skin that I kind of want to go over, and I've got plenty of it.
Let's do it.
I don't know if you guys have heard. I suppose I should do a screen share at this point. Facebook, YouTube, and Google were called to Capitol Hill, and they testified on their ability or lack thereof to... Shit, I had you highlighted the whole time, Bart. I forgot to unhighlight you.
Oh, boy.
Been staring at your beautiful face all night so far.
What a treat. What a treat for everybody.
Especially when you left for a bit.
Yeah. I didn't get to have my pre-show cigarette because I was napping. And life is hard.
It is.
So, now that I come to think of it, I think I forgot to turn my heater off in the other room. So I'll be right back.
Okay, so Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter warned about new type of extremism as lawmakers grill them. This is the executives from Facebook, Google, and YouTube had to sit through a pretend tongue lashing on Capitol Hill just very, very, very recently. Online extremism on Capitol Hill as they sought to push back on the notion that they aren't doing enough to rid their platforms of terrorists and hate-filled content. Hate-filled content.
Oh, goody. What? Can we define that?
Yeah, I was going to say, who defines hate-filled content?
You guys are disrupting my feels. I'm being triggered.
That's right. You're responsible for how I'm choosing to feel.
Hate-filled content. You guys are bullying and harassing people. I'm going to flag your video.
Yeah.
Okay. Clint Watts, a senior fellow at George Washington University's Center for Cyber and Homeland Security, of all things. And I'm just going to stop and read that again. Clint Watts, a senior fellow. That sounds innocuous. It sounds, arbitrary, but it's kind of not. A senior fellow.
You don't want to know the gematria on Clint Watts. Whoops, wait a minute. I misspelt it anyway.
It kind of reminds me of the branch of the Freemasonic order in Canada known as the Order of the Odd Fellows. But anyway, let me read on. Clint Watts, senior fellow at George Washington University Center for Cyber and Homeland Security, told lawmakers that the U.S. is facing a unique type of threat. he dubbed, quote, Anwar Awlaki meets Pizzagate. Watt's idea, referring to the U.S.-born militant, is that the future, in the future, someone could combine the social media prowess displayed by Islamic State. I didn't know they had that.
I'm sorry.
No, please, no. That's exactly what. That's what was needed right there. Absolutely. The prowess.
The prowess of the Islamic State.
The social media prowess displayed by Islamic State, with the bizarre case of a man believing the debunked Pizzagate conspiracy peddled online, brandished a gun inside a Washington, D.C. pizza shop.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Oh, gosh. PSYOP and PSYOP and PSYOP.
This whole article is a PSYOP in itself, and now they're talking about a PSYOP on top of a PSYOP. Layers of bullshit to go through on this one. So, continuing on, quote, the greatest concern moving forward might likely be a foreign intelligence service posing as Americans on social media, infiltrating one or both political extremes in the U.S., and then recruiting unwitting Americans to undertake violence against a target of the foreign powers' choosing. Now, if that doesn't have you shaking in your boots...
It doesn't, because it's bull, Bucky.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't. It shouldn't.
It just annoys me that they're selling this to the public.
That was just a big fucking word salad, is all that was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was gonna say, like, yeah, all right, welcome to 1951.
Right.
Yes. I mean,
isn't that post World War II Operation Gladio sort of? Isn't that idea?
Yeah.
The idea of
let's see, a foreign intelligence service posing as Americans and infiltrating political extremes, and then recruiting and to undertake violence or whatever for that foreign power's choosing. Oh, right, exactly. Doesn't that takes us back to 1951 or before? I mean, it's like it's not like
well, way before. I'm just saying there's a very clear.
It's not like governments have never been doing this to each other since the beginning of time.
Yeah, really, and recruiting unwitting Americans to undertake violence.
I'm speaking specifically to the idea that that this would be a message going out to the American public. That it was going on, that there's no question. It was going on 100 years before, 200, 500. Espionage has been a thing ever since there was, nation states and kingdoms and warring tribes. There's going to be espionage. But what I was speaking to specifically was in terms of like politicians being trotted out to seed these ideas into the populace. It's not that it's bullshit in the realpolitik sense, but it's bullshit in the sense of we're just now wrapping our minds around this. That's the part that's absolute bullshit.
Yes. Like, oh my God.
This is a new form of threat. This is a new thing. But of course,
brand new.
Of course, there's the principle of if it's new to you, then it's new, and they are speaking to anybody who hasn't been paying attention, or hasn't, or is young, or is coming of age. I can imagine a 13, 14-year-old kid going, there's something not quite right about this world. Can't quite, and then they hear that, and then they go, oh, that's okay. That's a big idea.
Right.
But they might be persuaded to think that it was all hunky dory up until now, and this is something immediate and novel.
Okay.
Back to my 2 cents.
So here we go. Let me just continue on with this because I want to share. While you were talking, I was pulling up something else related. As I continue forward, there's something I want to show you that relates to this. So, in other words, rather than radicalizing Americans to their ideologies, foreign actors could harness existing political divisions in the U.S. to manipulate citizens into committing a terrorist act. With alleged Russian meddling in the 2016 presidential election still firmly in the spotlight, social media is being closely scrutinized. Each technology giant spent most of their testimony pushing back on the notion that they aren't doing enough to battle extremism online. I would say they are because I have not seen any actual extremism, except for social justice warriors and extreme leftist ideology. That's the only extremism I see.
But those are all manufactured. Those aren't.
They're sanctioned. They're sanctioned.
Yeah, they're anyway. Well, they're not really, for the most part, they're people who have been told to go out and take this position. They are not people who say, hey, I believe this and I'm going to stand up for it. That's not what we're seeing. There may be a very, very small number of the ones that we see that really believe in their heart that this is their thing.
Sure.
I'll disagree with you, Amy. I've met a lot of these folks. Maybe it's because I'm in California, but they're really like that. And I would actually lean it much more towards 80-85% genuinely are like this, and then you get your 15.
Seriously?
Get your about 15% that are like provocateurs that are or just going along with the crowd or.
Well, I think that certainly, if that's the case, that the ideologies were introduced by provocateurs, and then these people went along with it.
Could be, yeah.
All right.
I don't get the feeling that the whole thing was organic at the initial.
No, it's not. No.
Well, it becomes organic if it's repeated.
That's right.
Enough times, and I think I'm betraying. Well, I think I'm misusing the term organic there a little bit. But,
when I say organic, I mean just sprang up on its own without anybody pushing it.
Yeah, but I think But I think if you press anything hard and long enough, it stops being.
Well, there will be an element that grows around it. Yes, I agree, but that still is not organic. That is if it. When I say organic, I mean that people just got these ideas and started to talk about them, find others that wanted to talk about them, and they all got together and started a movement. That's organic.
Most of it starts in the schools and the universities, and then it moves to the media.
Media, yeah.
Okay, so this is going to get interesting in a minute here. YouTube, which claims its machine learning technology, now enables it to take down nearly 70% of violent extremist content within 8 hours of upload, has also cracked down on what it calls borderline videos. Again, ambiguous language.
Yeah.
Any video we don't want on your, I know
they have to include that ambiguous language so that they can just kill anybody that they want. But I want to jump back a few words in that sentence where they say within 8 hours of upload. I got news for you, Facebook and YouTube. Well, I don't do Facebook, but I have uploaded videos. And when I upload videos, there's a process. There's the upload, and then there's processing. And during the processing, it goes through an algorithm filter. And I have had videos rejected before it even uploaded.
Yep.
So don't talk to me about freaking 8 hours.
Well, okay. and then you have people like me who are getting videos that have been up for a year.
Yeah. Then there's those algorithms that are going on the backstory. Yeah.
That they come in and I mean when I was just floored when it said that my video had violent or graphic content. It's like hello, I have never anything violent or graphic ever. I don't want to. I avoid that. And yet they took me down and gave me a strike for mirroring somebody else's video that had no violence or graphic content.
Yeah, there's no warning system. You don't get a warning strike, you know, rather than
you willing to take
a fucking strike. Down? Yeah, they don't say, hey, take it down. You got, 12 hours or 24 hours, take it down. And if you don't, then we'll take it down. And if it happens again, you get a strike. There's no warning system.
That would be the honorable way to go about doing things. But clearly we are not working with honorable individuals who are controlling all this.
Okay. So continuing on, content posted that espouses hateful or supremacist views. I have to stop there because hateful and supremacist views should fall under free speech. You may not like it, but you should be free to say anything you want.
Absolutely.
Yep.
This is going to get good in a minute. Just bear with me here. Let me continue on. Hateful or supremacist views, but is not technically in violation of the site's community guidelines against direct calls to violence, will now be harder to find. They won't be recommended or monetized and won't have features like comments or suggested videos and likes. So we already know about the disabling of comments, disabling of the likes, and they put you in a little box. Your video is still public. Sometimes they'll actually set it to private. I've had people, I've seen people post videos that said, look, I just uploaded this and YouTube just set that thing on private. So continuing on. Meanwhile, Twitter's director of public policy and philanthropy, that's just an oxymoron in that sentence right there. Meanwhile, Twitter's director of public policy and philanthropy for the U.S. and Canada, Carlos Monnier Jr., told lawmakers the company has plans to safeguard the upcoming midterm congressional elections. So now stop right there.
Wow.
They have plans to safeguard the upcoming midterm congressional elections. Safeguard them from what?
Yeah, what does safeguard mean?
Good question. I that was what my thought was. Wait a minute.
See, this isn't.
What do they need to be safeguarded against?
This isn't about terrorism. This is about political ideologies. So those efforts include verifying major party candidates for all states and federal active offices. Okay, I don't know why that would even be part of their efforts.
Yeah, why?
Monitoring trends and spikes in certain conversations relating to the 2018 elections to search for potential manipulation activity and bringing more transparency to voters about political advertising on Twitter. So when they say potential manipulation, are they talking about, I don't know, conservative views, for instance? You know what I mean? Because my view, if I post something on, and I'm conservative leaning, I'm very libertarian, but I'm conservative leaning. If I post something that has a conservative slant to my commentary, does that qualify as potential manipulation activity? Because if I can influence somebody with my commentary, then I'm manipulating the election potential.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice of words, isn't it?
Yeah. Continuing on, Facebook claims that here, this is where it's going to get fun. Facebook claims that counter speech, quote, counter speech is one tool in its arsenal against hate speech and extremism online. So you notice how it's shifted to hate speech and extremism. You notice how terrorism isn't part of the conversation anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This is about political ideology. It's about hate speech, what they call hate speech, and quote unquote extremism, another ambiguous phraseology there. But I want to go to this counter speech because I got to show you something. I want to give you a real-time example of counter speech. This is happening to me right now, and many of us have experienced this, but for those who have not, I want to show you something. Anyone paying attention is probably aware and probably remembers the Nice truck attack. And in Paris, France, on the Promenade des Anglais, a truck plowed into and supposedly killed 84 people and supposedly injured another 230 people. And right there on the balcony was this man, Mr. Richard Gutjahr, who is now speaking on this video at TEDx Marrakesh. And he describes, it says here, the title of this video is Conspiracy Theories, How I Became Fake News. And if you read this description, this is a true story about love and hate, a story about trust and despair, a story about the internet and how it can be turned into a weapon. Richard Gutjahr worked as a freelance reporter and presenter for German radio television. He also writes for Frankfurt Allgemeine Zeitung, Rheinix. I don't speak German, so I'm not even going to try to finish. Look, the point is...
You're not good at German.
Thank you. No doubt. Look, for those who don't know, Richard Gutjahr is an accredited, legitimate reporter, journalist, photographer. He was the guy who captured the famous footage, and I know you guys know this, but I'm saying it for the audience. He's the guy who captured the famous balcony footage of the truck before it hit anybody, not showing it actually hit anybody. But in this TED Talk, he talks about how he's the victim. He actually plays clips from various YouTubers like How I See the World and Anaconda Malt Liquor, who are calling this guy out as a bullshit artist because not only was he at Nice, but what was it, 2 weeks later, his freaking daughter captured the only cell phone footage at the McDonald's terrorism shooting in Munich, right? Was it Munich? His daughter, 2 weeks later after Nice, his daughter captured the famous cell phone footage at the lone gunman terrorist attack at McDonald's in Munich. And then on top of that, this guy is married to his wife is a freaking Mossad agent. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this the guy whose wife is a Mossad agent?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but
Okay, well, I'll get to the point here.
Okay, yeah. I'll have a good point to make once you're at a stopping point.
In his little TED Talk here, he mentions that he was contacted by none other than Lenny fucking Posner from Sandy Hook, the guy whose son, who supposedly died at Sandy Hook, whose son's photo showed up 2 years later at the school shooting massacre in Peshawar, Pakistan, the guy who is part of this thing called the Honor Network, the guy who is personally responsible for having Robin How I See the World channel and many others deleted and terminated. So this guy, Richard Gutjahr, says he was contacted by Lenny Posner. So here's my comment, and I'm going to make my point right now. My comment was, you just had to bring up Lenny Posner, the guy whose son died twice, and we're the crazy ones, blah, 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 blah. So this sparked a little bit of a comment thread. At the bottom of this comment thread, and before I show you this, I want to jump back and just remind you that we are talking about counter speech. Facebook claims that counter speech is one tool in its arsenal. So here, where did it go? There it is. So this guy, these go to 11, that channel, he says, Roof, don't you get tired of everything being a conspiracy and being constantly afraid or worried about, quote, them? I leave one comment and he says something like this, suggesting everything's a conspiracy and I'm worried about them. So my reply obviously was, don't talk to me like you know me, blah, blah, blah. But my point is that right there is counter speech.
Mm-hmm.
That comment from this channel, I'll just show you this guy. I'm going to click on his icon. Let's go to his channel and have a look and see who this guy is. He's one of those sock accounts who has no content, no subscribers.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, it figures.
So that right there, counter speech. Can you say online persona management?
Yes.
Now,
yeah, that is so
online persona. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll shut up, man. If you got something to say, just start talking and I'll shut up.
Oh, it's just scary. And we've all seen it. I don't have Facebook either, but I've even heard through the grapevines that, you know, it seems like that's been happening for a little while now. It's interesting that they would make it public like that.
Continuing on, it says the ubiquitous social media company has partnered with a range of non-governmental organizations, otherwise known as NGOs, and community groups to dissuade people from falling prey to extremist content.
Yep.
So I'll read that.
Online persona management.
I'm going to read that again. The ubiquitous social media company has partnered with a range of non-governmental organizations and community groups to dissuade people from falling prey to extremists. What do you mean dissuade people? Oh, you mean like this guy? You mean,
yeah.
You mean like, come on, computer. You mean like that comment that I just showed you?
Well, is it okay? So is that comment meant for you and you alone, or is it meant to exist there as part of the thread, so that people, when they're scanning the comments, they'll be able to cherry pick what they want to hear, and so that's kind of how I see that strategy of being able to seed a retort all throughout the comments. So that you can exercise your confirmation bias by seeing, oh, looks like somebody had the same reply that I would have had or would have liked to have seen. Therefore, go ahead.
They aren't even their minds aren't even working. Once you scroll through it, they don't even have the chance to rationalize it. They see a counter argument and they're like, oh, well, okay, there we go.
Right. You can just continue to surf or skim the surface of things.
Yeah, Zack said it perfectly. I was going to say something like that, but you summed it up perfectly. So continuing on, it says, although counter speech comes in many forms, like the one I just showed you, at its core, these are efforts to prevent people from pursuing a hate-filled, quote, comma, violent life or convincing them to abandon such a life, said Monica Bickert, head of product policy and counterterrorism at Facebook.
I'm looking out my window. I see just everybody. I mean, everybody is pursuing a hate-filled, violent life. Every single one of them.
Here's the gem.
Wait a minute. None.
You ready for the coup de grace on this article here? Because it works at the bottom. And this is the icing on the cake right here. Watts testified that social media companies need to do more to distinguish between protected speech and speech that, quote, endangers society. Quote, here we go. Quote, account anonymity today allows nefarious social media personas to shout the online equivalent of fire in a movie theater.
Oh, dear.
Bad actors and their fictitious and/or anonymous social media accounts. Oh, you mean like the 30 fucking accounts that Michael Resnicki has that YouTube does nothing about when he impersonates people and shit?
Right.
The what is it?
SCL.
SCL, that's it.
Bad actors,
SCL accounts.
Bad actors and their fictitious and anonymous social media accounts can and have created a threat to public safety.
Where?
This is not protected free speech. Actually, it is. And many social media companies offer no method to hold these anonymous personas accountable. Absolutely. YouTube does nothing. I could create 100 accounts right now, sock puppet accounts right now if I wanted to. It's not like I have time or interest, but I want to back up just a little bit. First sentence, account anonymity.
Hello?
Anonymity.
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 Account anonymity today allows nefarious social media personas to shout the online equivalent of fire in a movie theater.
Oh, don't do it, Amy. That's what just got Aaron kicked off. He shouted fire online.
In the movie theater. Oh, my God.
Oh, man, I'm going
to... Oh, no.
Worst show ever, guys. Worst show ever.
I mean, he just kind of quit talking. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Just want
his hate speech was
it just got too hot.
Yeah.
Too hateful.
I guess, huh?
My goodness. So I have a dog that I walk for a friend of mine, and so it takes me through the neighborhood, and I saw a placard or a poster up in a window the other day, and they're everywhere. It just caught my eye, and it said, so I live in Alameda, California. It said, Alameda stands against hate. Okay. And right. And so,
there he is.
So I'm troubled by the ambiguity in which language is used these days, and that concepts like undefined, ambiguous concepts are now put at the center of entire campaigns and efforts that involve thousands and tens and thousands and millions of people.
Has it ever been different, Bart?
Huh?
Has it ever been different?
To my I don't think it was so as jingoistic as it is now. I think this is a new layer.
I agree.
I don't
level
know.
To it.
Well, maybe, but I will say that it seems like they used feel-good gobbledygook. I mean, it sounded great, but when you sat down and thought about it, well, what does that really mean?
What is hate? Is having an opinion, a strong opinion on something, eventually going to fall under hate? Yeah.
Well, that's the slippery slope, right? As long as you leave it undefined, it can be whatever the accuser or jury that's compiled in order to, or the judge that's appointed in order to, hear and suss out the case. It really gives them a tremendous amount of power of interpretation. And that is not that's not neat and tidy. It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous on many levels.
Yeah, it's dangerous. It's open-ended and can be easily backed by media and controlled that way.
It reminds me of the thing from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where they're trying the witch. So if she floats, she's a witch, but if she sinks and drowns, then she wasn't a witch.
Right. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't, eh?
Yeah. So now it seems like this is becoming actual policy. More so now than ever. I think that it's always sort of been, there's been a lot of wiggle room, but I think that this is being like something so ambiguous is being set into stone or set in stone. And again, dangerous. And again, not enough people making clear, cogent counter arguments to this. Because it involves, having to think and hold more than 2 or 3 ideas in your head at once.
They're 1984ing us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's yeah. That we are definitely and have been in 1984 for a while.
Aaron said that he lost internet connection, but I think he's back online here. He should be coming in shortly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he went poof.
Oh, I was going to say, so the war on, like, I've always had a problem with this whole concept of the war on and then fill in the blank.
Yes.
So the war on drugs and the war on poverty are the two that come to mind very quickly. And I'm sure that most of the folks in our audience have thought along these lines of, like, how does one wage a war on drugs? How does one wage a war on poverty itself? Poverty is a word that points to a condition, and drugs are substances, and they don't take themselves, then they don't move themselves, and they don't pay for themselves.
You can't war against anything but other human or conceivably evil.
Exactly. So that's the very
so you can't have a war on concept.
Yeah, you can you repeat that? You broke up.
I said you can't have a war on some inanimate
objects. Or hey, let me take over because you're breaking up. So,
technology. Additionally, war.
Yeah, sorry, Amy. Let me take over because you're breaking up. Can't really make heads or tails of what you're saying. So, what I did pick up on is that you can't have a war on anything other than people. I'm not saying that you said that, but because I think you can have a war on animals.
Ideas.
You can have a war on cows.
You said that,
okay, Aaron's back. But what I was going to point out, right, that the concept of drugs, at least you can point to drugs. Like you can point to a pile of drugs or a baggie of drugs or whatever. Now, drugs are really interesting because they affect the body and the consciousness of.
Yeah, but a war. Let's be clear though. When they say war on drugs, they're not talking about an actual war on actual drugs. It boils down to the ideology of people using drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
The war on the people who use the drugs. The war on the people who are impoverished.
Right. How to war on people, and especially the poor. But what I'm finding interesting is how many of these campaigns are out there now, which is, I don't know if they're saying it, but the war on bullying, or the war on hate, right? Or the idea of hatred itself, right? Like, it's going deeper and deeper and deeper. If they wanted to make it very, very obvious what the agenda is, they said it honestly, it would look something like this: the war on unacceptable thoughts that humans have that are a threat to the state. Any and all unacceptable thoughts that are in any way a threat to the state. That would be the honest answer to what the war is on.
Correct. Yeah, that would be more transparent, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, but if that's true, and it's true, then I think that that's something that we should continue to talk about and tell people. you know, because that's simple enough of a thing to explain to somebody, get them up to speed on what we're really up against.
Try to finish my thought before I got kicked off of my own hangout here.
Yeah, this time try not to include so much hate speech.
That last paragraph that I was reading, where he said that it was the equivalent to the online version of shouting fire in a movie theater. I take serious issue with that. That kind of language people fall for because they don't have critical thinking skills. But if you stop for 2 seconds and think about it, who online could say anything that would be the equivalent of shouting fire in a movie theater?
That's a good point.
Because if we talk about shouting fire in a movie theater, we're talking about causing real people in real life actual panic where people get injured trampling each other in the effort to save themselves from what they think is death. Right? That's why you don't. That's why you can't yell fire in a movie theater. This is where free speech comes to a stop. You can't yell fire in a movie theater. Okay.
Well, the reason you can't.
You get in trouble for that. People get hurt.
The reason you can't do that is it's unethical. Because.
Well, Amy, the reason we can't do it, I hear you, and you're making. I know where you're going to go with this, but the reason we can't is because it's actually illegal. You can actually get in trouble for that because you've incited people to panic, and people get hurt as a result, physically hurt.
How about when War of the Worlds is broadcasted?
Oh, no kidding! Great example, dude. Perfect example.
That's sort of fire in a theater.
Okay, I'm going to try an experiment right now. We're in an online hangout. There's 28 or 30. How many do we have right now? There's 28 people watching right now. Hey, everybody, fire, fire, get out of the hangout now, fire, go. Sirens.
That's me. That literally happened outside my window after you said that.
Oh, that's funny.
Brilliant. That was synchronicity.
Okay, so did anybody panic? Did anybody get hurt because I screamed fire in the hangout?
No. I started getting nervous when I heard the sirens.
Did anybody get triggered?
No.
Okay. Well,
so how is it? All right, let me just pose this question to anybody, and that includes the chat or whatever. Comments, leave me a comment after we upload. Is there a such thing? Is there anything you can think of that would be the online equivalent to shouting fire in a movie theater?
Yeah, okay. First thing that comes to mind is sending out a tweet. Let's say, and this all depends on let's say how many people are following you. Right? Okay, because I think that's a real world concern, right? Because
if you got 1 million followers on Twitter and you said, "Hey, I'm standing right here and I see it. There's a bomb. There's a missile," and people in your area, they get the tweet and they panic.
Let me go ahead and say. Okay, so
sorry, go ahead.
The thing that first came to mind was the president has been assassinated. Okay, now that could send people into a panic. I think a lot of people would be celebrating and, like.
Well, I don't know. And then we think about Pence. Ooh.
Yeah. But that's sort of not my point. My point would be it really depends. Like if I have 3 Twitter followers and I write the president has been assassinated, then nobody's going to give
Yes.
shit, right? No, but if I have 300,000 subscribers, just to put it up to a relatively significant number, and I tweet out the president has been assassinated, well, okay, that could send somebody into a panic for like a second until they engage their brain and say, is this true? Okay. Let me see if anybody else is reporting this.
Sure. But let's
so that I think is the beauty of the internet, and this is where that argument absolutely falls apart.
Right.
Is that if you're so stupid as to be triggered by a single instance, a single message coming through your computer screen or your phone screen, and you believe it 100% wholeheartedly without taking a moment to reflect and double check it, triple check it, verify it,
right, then you need
by whatever means you have at your disposal. And guess what? You have at your disposal the entire fucking internet through your phone or through your screen. So what? There's always a counterpoint that you can find within 5 clicks on the keyboard. So this idea of any sort of a position that anybody would put out there that is outside of a gamut, therefore extreme, therefore threatening, therefore whatever. It's just malarkey.
You said it earlier, Bart. You said it earlier that the argument just falls apart because if you don't take 2 seconds to verify it and confirm it.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about online speech now. If I scream fire in the Hangout, does everybody trample each other to get out of here? Or is there the possibility that someone is look? Even if you had 1 million followers and you said the president's been assassinated, or hey, even Hawaii inbound missile. This is not a drill. And we're going to get to that. I want to cover that too.
Yeah.
Even if, let's say it didn't come from the government, right? It didn't go out to everybody, like that missile alert in Hawaii, right? It went to everybody. It came from the government, went through the network, and every cell phone got the alert. I don't have that kind of power. Nobody does except the government. I don't care if you're PewDiePie. You don't have that kind of power to get every single cell phone, make that alert happen. You don't have that power.
True.
So even if you did say, hey, I'm PewDiePie and all my 10 million subscribers, I'm in Hawaii and I see a missile coming. Everybody duck and cover. Is anyone going to actually trample someone to get to safety? Is there a possibility that people are going to get hurt because other people will fucking trample you to get somewhere? Like out of the movie theater. So my point is there any circumstance that anyone could possibly think of that would be the online equivalent to shouting fire in a movie theater?
Shouting missile incoming in Hawaii.
But see, that doesn't even count, Amy, because again, this goes back to people being trampled and being hurt.
Well, I think
what's the online equivalent to that? Is there a...
In theory, there could have been some trampling and whatnot going on if everybody got that message as people panic and start running.
You could say I tried to put my kid in the manhole cover and she slipped and fell 10 feet down the manhole and broke her leg, so that's your fault. You know what I mean? It's just fucking nonsense. Let's move on. There is no such thing as an online equivalent to shouting fire in a theater. Okay, it's not part of reality.
I agree.
Okay.
But okay, I'll be ready to move on. But
go ahead, Bart.
But it can exist as a meme or a trope, meaning that people now can believe that there are such things on the internet that are the equivalent. You see what I mean? So maybe, so that's really the game here. Whether there are or aren't, maybe is not really the most important issue here. Is whether enough people turn off their minds enough to believe that such a thing is possible.
Well, has it happened? No.
No, it's not based on like a lot of times you want to base what you say on precedent, right? And a lot of these politicians are, from my understanding, some of them are lawyers, so they've heard about stuff like precedent. So when you make a statement like that, you want to have at least like one example to point to.
Okay, speaking of,
I agree.
Speaking of Hawaii and the incoming missile, I'm going to do another screen share. I want to show you guys a couple of things. I took some screenshots, and you would think I would have learned this lesson sooner, but after 72 shows, I finally decided to open a folder on my desk and call it the weekly screenshots of things that I find throughout the week that'll give me links and images so that I don't have to go pull up 100 tabs for every show. I don't know if you guys all know this, but NBC did a news story, and they were inside the bunker or the underground facility or whatever building where this missile alert went out from, less than 24 hours before the actual missile alert. Okay. Yep. And here it is. Hawaii prepares for unlikely North Korea missile threat. Now, this is a screenshot from High Impact Flicks, who covered this part of the story, showing that NBC was there in that room. Now, I'm zooming in and I'm expanding this out. Can you guys see anything funny in this picture?
As I recall, I've seen this. So, as I recall, they've got passwords sitting on those stickers.
Yeah. Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah. Look at the monitors. The two monitors on the bottom there. You see the sticky note. Okay. Here, this is just cherry. You can actually read what the password is to this computer system.
Yep.
Warning 12, warning 1-2, or it's what's it say there? WAR.
Warning point.
Yeah, warning point 2. That's what it is. Warning point 2. So there's the password if anybody wants to.
I don't know why, but I get this really weird feeling that it might have been changed by now.
Yeah. Okay, so less than 24 hours before this alert went out, NBC was in that very room doing a story. And anybody who's interested in the overall details, if you want to see, High Impact Flicks covered this on this particular video with this title here. So he covers it. There's the title of the video.
Was that the one where he covered where they showed the phone that they were told they received the call in?
Yeah. Yeah. The reporter asked him, and which phone is it? And he points to a standard phone, which is sitting behind that monitor.
Standard multi-line.
Multi-line phone. That's right. You know? And he goes, yeah, here's the phone right here. And he picks up the receiver just then.
Like who cares? They may be calling us to tell us a missile is coming in right about now.
Yeah.
You never know. But I'll just pick it up so they can't get through. Oh, it was just hysterical. I could not believe that this was being put out as if it was something real.
Okay, so we've all heard about the excuse that it was a shift change and the guy hit the wrong button, right?
That's bullpucky.
This is supposed to be the actual message, because according to I understand this is supposed to be true, that every time they do a shift change that they test the system. Okay? Every 12 hours, every 8 or 10 or whatever shift change is, right? They test the system. Okay, fine. You should. For Christ's sake, you should test that system regularly. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
But does anybody really believe that this right here, you have two choices, one on top of the other? Test missile alert and missile alert.
No, I don't buy that.
And does anybody believe, because look, try to get in your computer or your cell phone and try and delete a photograph. Try to delete a photo or a video. Try to delete a text message.
It always says, "Are you sure?"
You're fucking A right, it does.
Yes. And if they missile alert, it would come back.
Are you sure?
Somebody was mentioning something about how some of the systems that we know have been set up and how they're set up for the final go-ahead for such things, there's 2 places that have to have a key turned. They're like 12 feet apart, so you have to have 2 people involved.
So one person can't do it unless you're really good with your toes.
and very tall. Like, very tall.
Didn't Japan have a similar?
2 days later.
2 days later.
By the way, I want to point out that this missile alert in Hawaii, it went out on the 13th.
Yes, 113.
So, I mean, that doesn't mean anything per se, but it's just one of those things that makes you go, right?
Hey, do you all remember that video that Genesis did in the, I guess it was the 80s, Land of Confusion?
Yeah.
Where it was all the puppets?
I don't remember the video, but I know the song.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the video?
I probably have. I don't remember it.
Oh man, you got to see it again. Maybe we could do it for our. We could play it for our halftime, for our intermission or something. It's genius, and it's just as true today as it was 30 years ago.
Sure.
All of the archetype, but at the very end of it, so it's Ronald Reagan. There's a Ronald Reagan puppet, and he's laying in bed, and he wakes up, and he and Nancy are in bed, and he's drenched in sweat, and he's like, "Oh, that was a crazy dream I just had," and he reaches over to, I need a glass of water. Let me call the nurse, and he pulls back the curtain, and there's a big red button that says nurse, and then right next to it is a big red button that says nuke. And he presses the nuke, and then the mushroom cloud forms. Yeah, and then it comes back to him. He goes, "That's one hell of a nurse."
That's funny. I've seen people make videos about this Hawaii thing where they inject the Homer Simpson sitting at his job, pouring coffee on the console at the nuclear control station.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this Hawaii thing happened on January 13th. Which might be something. It's one of those things, makes you scratch your head and go, oh, okay. And then 3 days later, on the 16th, that's 116. Now, that's an inversion
of 911.
It's a 911 from left to, if you take and rotate it clockwise, not flip it straight upside down, but just rotate it clockwise.
Rotate it 180 degrees either direction.
Yeah, 180 degrees. It's basically an upside down 911. Absolutely. So here's the interesting thing about the Japan thing.
Yep.
I thought I opened it. There it is. Now, United States to sell Japan, wait for it, $133 million in missiles to counter North Korean threat. And this article was on 1/9/18, 7 days before the Japan missile alert.
At 5/5.
Yeah, at 5:50. Double fives.
Yep.
Yeah. So on the inverted day of 9/11, on 1/16, Japan had a missile threat, which was 1 week after the United States to sell Japan $133 million in missiles.
Okay, wait. $133 million in missiles?
That's what it says.
Yeah, but isn't that a low number?
I would think 133 million doesn't buy a whole lot of missiles.
Is that,
if you get
what is that, like 4 missiles?
Figures. Yeah, probably 4.
Well, I don't.
3 to 4.
I don't have any idea. What's a Tomahawk missile worth? 10?
I don't know. I've not been in the market for missiles in a while. So, but I'm just saying that seems like a screaming deal. Only 133 million. Also, isn't 133 million dollars like spent every day,
every hour,
133 million times over, right? So what's, you know what I'm saying?
Well, the point is that this deal. The point is that this deal went down a week before.
Yeah.
And a week later, they have this false missile alert.
Yeah.
So well, it kind of reminds me of the Pentagon 1033 program, where the military would issue to police departments and local municipalities all around the country all kind of surplus military equipment like Humvees and fucking rocket launchers and shit like that. And they would literally give it away. It was a gifted. But it came with stipulations, and the stipulations were, you're gonna have to practice, you're gonna have to exercise, you're gonna have to drill, baby, drill.
Mm-hmm.
So with money comes, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Great responsibility?
Obligations. With money comes obligations.
Oh, I thought it was great responsibility. Damn it.
So there's that.
So what do you think? Do you think that they were actually picking anything up on radar? Do you think it was a test of some sort?
I've seen and heard all the theories. There's a guy online right now, and I forget his name. And you can find him. He's saying that his relatives, family, was in Hawaii, and they were on a touring boat at 8 in the morning when this happened. And that they and 13 or 12 or 10 or so other people on the boat saw a gigantic flash in the sky, as though maybe a missile was intercepted. And so that's one story being peddled out there. That's bullshit. That's fucking misinformation.
Yeah. I agree. I heard that, and yeah, his sister says this, but I'm thinking that if that happened, we'd have video footage coming out of it from at least 2 or 3 places. We'd have an awful lot more people saying, "Oh my God, did you see that?" I'm just saying, I think we would see more than just a couple of outlets for the information.
Well, it would take you a while to get your phone out, especially if it's just a quick flash, just to play the devil's advocate. I mean, last night I saw a magnificent shooting star, and in fact, I've never seen one like it. It was very straight and very long. The front looked like a space shuttle shape, and I don't have time to get my phone out.
Yeah.
No, I will give you that. We might not have footage, but we certainly would be having buzz going. Oh my God, I saw this.
Look, if it was real, if those 13 or so people plus a couple of crew members on the boat really did see this, considering the hype and the attention that this has gotten, don't you think that the news would be interested in that? Don't you think we'd have somebody on camera saying, "Yeah, I was on the boat. This is what we saw"?
Yep. That too.
At the very least, they'd put a fucking actor in front of the camera and say, "Yeah, I was on the boat. This is what I saw." But there's nothing except one guy on the internet saying, "Yeah, my sister was there."
Yep.
Kind of reminds me of Las Vegas. It's like my friend's neighbor's dog's pet sitter was at the concert, and she said, blah, blah, whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Second-hand, third-hand accounts. I'm not falling for it. Sorry, no.
Yeah.
How about a couple of people that were on the boat, including the boat operator?
That's saying, "Hey, this is what
this is me. This is my name. This is my boat. This is my business. I put everything at stake. This is what I'm telling you. This is the fucking truth." Nope, nothing. Yep. We got a guy on the internet saying, "Yep, my sister said so." And then the other theory is a hack job. They were hacked. that the missile alert systems have been hacked. I'm not falling for that one either.
Nope.
I don't believe that.
I think I think they might be more or less on a dedicated, insular thingy. They wouldn't want it to be hacked, so there wouldn't be any way to get in from the outside.
So what's your gut feeling?
The gut feeling is number one, fear, 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 fear.
Yep.
Number two, beta test.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when I say beta test, I mean how are people acting, reacting, how they act on social media, how many kids are falling down in storage, drain tunnels and sewage pipes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What kind of public reaction?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also an element of the boy who cried wolf.
Yep.
Because when the real event does happen,
there'll be a delay and a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit more wiggle room to work with in order to.
The real event happens, you won't see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
This is always the case. This is always the case. When the real thing happens, you won't see it coming. Try as we might, and we're getting good at predicting some of these things, but when the real event happens, you're not going to see it coming.
I'll say this. I also think that one aspect was to inject more, missile
Amy,
threat.
you just broke up again. You totally cut out.
Oh, I heard her.
Yeah, I heard.
That might be on your end, Aaron. You were fine, Amy.
Okay.
Oh, okay. What I was saying was that I think it's to inject, missile into, to get us to think more about missile, which is tied in with the fear,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also tied into the idea that if they shoot and blame North Korea, golly gee, do you think most people will believe it?
So, as part of
good point.
To finish my answer to Zach's question, I have to go all the way to the Golden Globes. And although it might seem like I'm shifting gears, I'm kind of not. Because as many people are aware, the Golden Globes just happened. We all know about the Hollywood pedophilia, Harvey Weinstein, the Kevin Spacey, the Aziz Ansari, all this, all the accusations out of Hollywood, all that shit. And then the Golden Globes come along, and all of the attendees decide that we're going to wear black, and we're going to encourage everyone at home watching to wear black. Right?
I did not hear this. Okay.
The hashtag Me Too movement.
Mm.
And then at the Golden Globes was the hashtag, ready? Hashtag Time's Up. And they decided that they're all going to wear black in solidarity. Time's up. We've had enough of this. Time for everybody to come forward, and time for all the predators to go to jail. And hey, look, nobody's fucking going to jail. Okay?
Nope.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Nobody's been going to jail lately. Harvey Weinstein doesn't look like he's going to jail anytime soon.
Nope.
But we got all these actors and actresses dressing in black, encouraging people at home to wear black. Hey, who wears, who wears black? When is appropriate time to wear black? Funerals?
Funeral?
Wedding?
If you're the groom, I suppose.
Or
But when is an appropriate time for everyone to wear black?
Raiders game?
We do love you. We do love you.
A funeral.
Okay, so check this out. So the Golden Globes come along. Hashtag Time's Up. Keep that in mind. Time's up. Everyone's wearing black. Time's up. As if that's predictive programming. Trump's fire and fury statement that he made, if you guys remember this, a couple of weeks ago, that Kim Jong-un would be met with fire and fury.
Yeah.
And literally within the span of about a minute, he says that statement twice, which, by the way, is also almost identical, almost verbatim, a statement that was uttered by none other than Harry S. Truman, referring to Japan and the Hiroshima bombing.
I thought that sounded familiar.
Yep.
Is fire and fury, is that biblical? Or is it?
It might be. I don't know. I haven't heard anybody pick it out.
It's certainly general Western.
And power. Power is a part of this. Fire and fury and power.
Wow. These
are words that were uttered by Harry Truman regarding the nuclear bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
I have been saying for a long time that they are building the script on the literal world stage to World War III.
Yeah.
And
they are building.
It looks like it more and more.
Yeah, so Trump's fire and fury statement actually came 3 times on 2 different occasions. The first time when he was asked about it, he said it twice. In his response, his answer, he actually said it twice. And then later at a press conference, he said the same thing again. So I've heard Trump say this 3 separate times. And again, it's nearly identical statements as Truman's speech after Hiroshima regarding between Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Truman gave that speech. Okay. Then in the very same week, the book Fire and Fury being called in the media, the book Fire and Fury comes out, and the media called it a bombshell book.
Oh, I'm sure that was just coincidence.
And then, again, in the same week, Trump Tower catches on fire. And now we have the Illuminati card with the Trump Tower catching on fire.
Right.
Which, by the way, came right on the heels of the Clinton CIA outbuilding catching on fire.
Yep.
Which we never even got to cover last week. But whatever.
Some Stars building caught fire, too. I can't remember the name. I mean, it's like we've had 3 fires.
Now, all of this came within the same month of a movie release about Obama. The movie release date is January 19th, 119.
Oh, that's today.
119, huh?
Yeah, 119. 9/11.
119, 911. Yep.
That's right. So, within the same month, all this happened in the same month. Okay, the book Fire and Fury being called a bombshell book. Trump Tower catches on fire. And now, today, the release of this movie about Obama on January 19th. And guess what the movie's called? The Final Year.
And Obama.
Oh, Obama.
So, if that's not predictive programming, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I don't know what is either.
Like Amy said, they're building a script.
Yep. Sure are.
Okay. So, are they building a script, or is a script being built?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think that there are people who are very consciously writing the scripts.
I think that that's absolutely true. I think that there are many scripts, and they get written and then they get played out. That's undeniable. I question let's say, a single human or a small group's ability to properly crunch the data points and ascertain whether the script is coming from a central sort of a core team, right? Or whether it's so many sort of archetypal things, you cherry pick enough of them, glom them together, and you present it and you go, well, it certainly looks like a script. You get what I'm saying?
I think it's the former. And I will tell you why I think it's the former. Because based on my understanding of psychopaths and how I understand that any psychopath that being given a reason to care about what happens after they die is not going to care much about what happens after they die, because there's nothing to them once they're dead, so they don't care. We've got psychopaths in control. There is clearly a generational plan in place. And if there's a generational plan, there is somebody beyond those psychopaths that are holding it together. Otherwise, they wouldn't care.
That's right.
And I have to conclude, I don't know what specifically this being or these beings are, but they are very high probability, not human, much longer lived than we are. And either my highest probability goes to ET. There's also the possibility that it could be interdimensional beings, or it could be demons, or that sort of thing. Those are in there too. But there's something that is writing the script and directing the play for generations. I think that it's not just things that we're throwing together and going, oh, well, if we put these pieces together, it looks like a script. No, there's something much deeper going on.
Yeah.
Much deeper.
I totally agree, Amy.
I get that sense a lot of the time too. I'm just sort of saying I actually explore both sides of that, right? Which is oh,
I understand, and I appreciate the fact that you do play the devil's advocate here and there, because it gives us a chance to really solidify our thoughts.
Yeah, I came up with what I thought was kind of clever, which is I'm trying not to play the devil's advocate. I'm trying to play the advocate of the devil's advocate, right? Because every good lawyer needs a good lawyer, right? So in case they do something wrong. So I like that sort of double fold in the thing. Like
fair enough.
Like the history of history.
Call you the advocate's devil's no, wait a minute.
The devil's advocate's advocate. The DAA.
All right, we'll call you the DAA from now on.
But
forevermore.
But I'm just I want to throw that out there because I like this idea of, or at least the way I think about things, right? I think about history, and then I think about doubling that up, the history of history, right? So what is the history of us doing the practice of history? I don't think we often talk about that. We take the idea that history is somehow obviously it's all events of the past that occurred in objective reality, but not really. It's the stories that we tell about the events that occurred throughout the times. Right. But not really. It's some of the stories that we tell about some of the events.
Right. And when you get down to it, it's the stories most have been told are the stories.
Exactly. There's that dimension to it as well.
That's why I leave history in this nebulous category where, you know, the evidence gives good probabilities for this or that or the other thing, but pretty much it's just all I don't know.
Well, I think that's actually a very healthy place.
Really don't.
It's a very healthy place to land, and especially when you're sort of overcome by fear or confusion, is to actually like push so much in the you know, don't push against it, but push in somehow the opposite direction, so that you see like the most extreme, absurd end of any given topic. And then, I don't know, it happens to calm me down. Like if I think of something tragic, well, then I think of like every tragic thing that ever happened to anybody ever and how painful that would be. And imagine putting all of that pain into one big giant ball and feeling that big giant ball. And I think I land on a place of like, damn, I'm glad I don't have to feel a ball that big. I misspoke a little bit there, but pain ball. Don't have to feel a pain ball that big.
Well, I never choose to feel such things, so.
You never feel pain?
I never choose to. I could. I mean,
okay, Mr. Spock.
Oh, I've been called from Krypton by some friends. I don't know.
You laugh too much to be from to be a Vulcan from Krypton. You say?
Yeah, that's what one of my friends is always saying. I know, you're from Krypton.
Oh, okay. Because they don't think that Spock is from Krypton, though, do they?
No. They're
okay,
thinking
all right. Okay, I was getting confused there. All right.
Superman.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, I'm not from Krypton, and I'm not a Superman
Hey, y'all,
person.
it's time for my masturbation break.
Okay.
So that my productivity stays.
So you're focused. You got to go relieve some stress.
Focus in my productivity.
Are we stressing you out a little bit too much? You need to.
Yeah.
Need to relieve the stress.
Yeah. So I will be right back. And if anybody I don't know if everybody gets what that joke is.
Yeah,
we
gotta go back.
Yeah, I'm not. That's not really where I'm going.
I think at least half of the people listening probably are aware.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Each one teach one, okay? Each one teach one.
Okay, so we got a couple of small topics that I want to cover here. Pope Francis made a visit to Chile this week. You guys familiar? Have you heard about this?
No.
Pope Francis visits Chile, and he begs forgiveness for child priest sexual abuse. Because I suppose, as the old saying goes, it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Pope Francis is in Chile this week, and during one of his speeches, he begs forgiveness for the priest's sexual abuse. And we thought it was just us. Anyone? No comments?
That's very strange.
Look, when this is a worldwide phenomenon, the priest's child sexual fucking debauchery, disgustingness, this is nothing new, and this is nothing isolated.
He asked the audience for forgiveness?
Yeah. He asked all of Chile. He gave a speech down in Chile. Begs for forgiveness. I mean, I'll pull the article if you haven't seen it, or you can just pull it up. Just type up Pope Chile begs forgiveness. Bang.
As if that's going to make it stop? Come on now.
Lady Zaga said he should be doing some begging here in Canada.
Yeah, you know, it's like,
you know,
it's not just in the church, though. I will say that much.
This is, look, we all know this. This is a systemic problem.
Yes.
Las Valdez, he said his Pope Mobile ran over a horse. I don't know if that's a joke or if you know something that I haven't heard, but that's funny either way. Yes. But, you know, it was interesting because this headline came to my attention a couple of days ago when the Pope went to Chile and started giving speeches. And then just this morning, and I didn't write it down, I'm just going off of memory. The headline was that the Pope, what was the word? He sort of, I'm going to have to paraphrase because I don't remember the headline. The Pope sort of attacked and berated some sexual abuse accusers. Maybe I should just look this article up.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
For slander. Something about he attacked the accusers for slander. So it's like one day he's like begging for forgiveness for all the priests abusing all the children in Chile. And when I say Chile, I mean the whole fucking world, because it is not isolated. There's nowhere the Catholic Church is. There's nowhere the Catholic Church is not, and there's nowhere that this problem doesn't exist. So there's that.
Yeah, to acknowledge that, you'd have to acknowledge the whole.
Yeah, but
yes.
Yeah, but obviously he's in Chile. So let me see if I can pull up a tab and get my Google to work for me without kicking me off my own fucking Hangout. I had too much shit going on. I don't know if it was me with too many tabs and too many pages open, or this happened to me last time. It wasn't last week, 2 weeks ago we did a show. I got kicked out, or was it 3 weeks ago? But anyway,
I don't remember. It wasn't. I don't think it was the last show. I think it was the show before.
Yeah, but you can't have it both ways. You can't ask for forgiveness and then attack people for slander.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
I think I found it. Here we go. Pope accuses sex abuse victims in Chile of slandering bishop. Let me share. Let me just share.
Please forgive us, but don't you dare slander us. Okay? Don't bring it up.
Hey, we're sorry for buggering all your kids, but let's not jump on
it.
Yeah, just take my apology and we'll move forward.
Yep.
Wow. Let me just grab this third one down here. BBC, the trusted BBC.
Oh yeah, we trust them.
Pope Francis slander comment angers Chile abuse victims. Chi 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 lay lay lay. Chi 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 lay lay lay. You guys remember that?
No.
The tunnel collapse. The miners, the 33 miners that were trapped.
Ah, yes.
Oh, vaguely. By the way, I noticed in that article that you brought up there, it says right there, Pope Francis, and then in quotes we have slander. Well, I found out that in reverse ordinal it's 116. Jewish reduced, it's 33. In Jewish ordinal, we have 69. So, yeah, there's some significant numbers. It's also 73 in just regular ordinal. And in reverse Sumerian, which I know you get kind of freaked out when I bring in what sounds like an odd thing, but I am finding Sumerian and reverse Sumerian often have very interesting numbers. In reverse Sumerian, we have 696, which is important because if you flip it over, you have 969. And the speed of Saturn is... Yes. Okay. And let's see, is there anything else? I mean, there's some other numbers that probably could be seen as interesting, but those were the ones that really jumped out at me. I mean, in reverse full reduction, it's 44, which is the kill number, if anybody knows about what all that is.
44 is a well-known number. Yep.
So, yeah, the fact that they put the speed of Saturn, the kill number, a 9/11 upside down, the 33, the 69 in that one word with the Pope is just a coincidence, I'm sure.
Okay, so I got 2 tabs and 2 articles open here. We'll look at this first one here. On a visit to Chile, Pope asks for forgiveness over sexual abuse scandal. So here's this article. Pope Francis is welcomed by Chile's President Michelle Bachelet. Hope I pronounced that right.
Close enough for government work.
At La Moneda Presidential Palace in Santiago on Tuesday. Pope Francis arrived in Chile to begin a 3-day visit. There's one. Let's look for another one. 3-day visit. Opened his trip by asking for forgiveness over a local priest abuse scandal that has left the country reeling and prompted a less than warm reception for the Argentine-born pontiff. They should also specify Jesuit.
They should, but they don't.
The Pope specifically is the target of ire because he appointed a bishop who many Chileans accuse of covering up sexual abuse by a now disgraced priest. Francis directly addressed the controversy in a speech to Chilean President Michelle Bachelet and other officials on Tuesday, as Emily Green reports. Quote, Francis said he felt bound to express my pain and shame at the irreparable damage caused by some ministers, plural, of the church. Green reports, quote, he promised he would try. He's not going to try very hard. He would try to ensure such abuse never happened again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for promising to try.
I'm going to shake my fingers in the general direction of your country and say, don't do that.
Yeah, now can we just...
will be it.
Now can we just shut up about it and move on?
Yes.
Right. Hey, what was it that Yoda said to Luke Skywalker? No, there is no try. There is only do. You do or you do not.
Yep.
There is no try. But the Pope is going to try. He's not going to. He's got shit to do, but he's going to try. Okay. You know, he's a busy guy, but he'll try. He's going to try to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. That's a ticket.
Quote. It is right to ask forgiveness, the Pope said, according to Associated Press translation. It is, I should say, Rothschild translation. It is not clear if the Pope will meet with sexual abuse survivors during his trip. No. But when he's not being accused of being a pedophile cover-up, he'll wash your feet, he'll kiss your babies, he'll bless you and make you have sight. No. But it's not clear if he's going to meet with the sexual abuse survivors. He's not going to meet them. He's not going to talk to them. And now, while on that note, I'm going to jump to the other one where he says there is no proof. Pope Francis has triggered anger in Chile after accusing victims of pedophile priest of slander. Francis said there is, quote, no proof of their claims that abuse by Father Fernando Caradima had been covered up by another man, Bishop Juan Barros. Quote, there is not one single piece of proof against him, Bishop Barros, and is all slander. Is that clear? The Pope said.
It's that way because I said so.
Holy
fuck. All right, I got one for you. True or false? A dog has 3 legs.
True.
True.
Is there a follow-up?
I would say that's true for all dogs unless they've lost 2 of them.
Right.
Thinking.
Hey, some dogs only have 1 or 2 or less.
Yeah,
I suspected that you would get that answer right, but it's one of those kinds of things where if someone says no, not true, they have 4 legs. That's sort of like a litmus test of how do you think past a certain level, right? The reason I brought that up was the idea that there is not one single piece of proof. Okay, that statement might be true if there's more than 2 pieces of proof. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
That's my
proof. You can legitimately say there is not one single piece of proof.
You just made me think of a bumper sticker on the back of my truck that I got in Alaska, a place called Chicken, Alaska, on my recent vacation. I've been there twice, but we were in Alaska and I picked up a bumper sticker that says, "There is not one single mosquito in Alaska. They're all married with very large families."
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's it. But I'm just sort of pointing that out just to illustrate how easy it is to lie and how easily it is to be lied to.
It's an excellent point.
It's so much about confirmation bias,
well, the
right?
thing is, it's not really a lie because, as you point out, it's true, but
it is a lie. It's a lie by omission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lie. I think it's. If we want, we could break up.
It certainly falls into the defraud arena, which it makes it unethical.
Sure.
Right. The end. But
well, what makes it a lie is the follow up. Here, let me click on it and get it up on screen. It's the follow up, right? It's all slander, but that amplifies the lie. Right, so not a single piece of proof against him. Oh wait, don't go away from it. Matt, I'm reading off the thing and you're scrolling it.
Oh, I was trying to. I didn't know you were reading. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's all slander. Is that clear? The Pope said. Right. So it is all slander. What's the it? Right. He could be talking like you stick in it. That could refer to something else.
True.
No, absolutely. They do speak in code in that way so that they can get sleep. It's like the cremation of care ceremony. It's how they get around their own conscience.
Mm-hmm.
If they have one.
Yeah.
It's what I like to think about often in legal the issues of law, legality, lawfulness, law of the land is the idea of the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law, right? So it's so easy to lie if you play only by the rules of the letter, right? So you could say this and you go, well, technically I didn't lie.
Technically I didn't lie. Yeah.
And I wonder what that does psychologically to somebody. I mean, that's a whole, I guess books could be written about that, but specifically that species of speaking and communicating where you give yourself this out, like you say, the cremation of care ceremony is related to that. Anyway, you get the idea. So we can move on.
Yeah, and before I forget, you also made me think of, because of the way you phrased that little riddle a moment ago, I'll throw one at you just for fun. How far can you walk into a forest?
Right.
I would guess halfway.
Good girl, Amy.
If you're capable of it. I mean, if somebody asked me that question, I'd say, about a half an hour's worth, and I don't know where that'd get me. And then I have to sit down.
No, but technically, you can only walk halfway into a forest.
Right, because after that, you're walking out of a forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the controversy about? The Catholic Church suffered a body blow in Chile in 2010 when Father Caradima was publicly accused of molesting several teenage boys in the capital, Santiago, starting in 1980s. Let's see. This is 2018. We're talking 38 years ago, almost 40 years ago. Damn near as old as I am. In 2011, the Vatican found him guilty of abusing teenage boys, sentenced to a lifetime of penance and prayer.
Oh, Lord.
Oh.
Oh, dear.
Gee.
I got to run that. I got to run that.
Oh, the hardship.
That might be a little harsh. Jeez.
A lifetime of penance and prayer. Hey, what's the definition of penance? Does that just mean you're feeling sorry for something? What is?
I don't know, but like
the definition of penance?
Isn't the definition of like taking the job of a priest a lifetime of penance and prayer? Anyway,
good point.
Right, so it's like,
penance is a voluntary self-punishment inflicted as an
voluntary self-punishment. Yeah, well, I'm not going to volunteer very much today. I'll think about it tomorrow.
Yeah,
maybe tomorrow I'll volunteer some more punishment. He never faced criminal prosecution in Chile as too much time had passed.
Just so you know, penance and prayer in Jewish Reduced is 69. There's our 69 again. Anyway, I keep going. I just thought I'd throw that out.
I just wanted to finish covering the rest of this article in case anybody cared. Never faced any criminal prosecution. Apparently, the statute of limitation was up, but they did convict him. He was convicted.
Woohoo!
So I don't know what it takes to prove to the Pope that this is going on. Apparently, this particular priest, Father Karadima, was publicly accused by several teenage boys. So I suppose it takes more than one before the Pope goes, well, okay, maybe I'll believe you. Because, I mean, what proof would you have anyway? We're talking about something in this case goes back to the 1980s. We're talking about something that's 35, 40 years old. How would you prove that? So what constitutes proof? Up here earlier, the Pope was like, hey, there's no fucking proof. Hey, what are you going to do? Hey, oh.
Yeah, of course there's no proof.
Of course there's no fucking proof. Oh, I'm sorry. I deleted the pictures right after he fucked me in the ass. What do you need, Pope?
Yeah, people just think, hey, I think I'll accuse the Pope a priest of molesting me today.
Yeah. Here. What is the response from the accusers? Juan Carlos Cruz, one of the bishop's accusers, who was quick to condemn the Pope's stance, said, quote, as if I could have been as if I could have taken a selfie or a photo while Karadima abused me and others with Juan Barros standing next to him watching everything. Oh, shit.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just saying that when such accusations are made, you have to give a fair probability that they're true, because like I said, let's have some shits and giggles, let's accuse this guy of molesting us. That doesn't happen.
It's not it's not a popular stance.
No. People think let's go put a whoopee cushion in that guy's chair. I'm coming up with some older jokes there, but you get the idea. That's the sort of thing that they go for. You don't decide to try to ruin a priest's life with false accusations like that. I mean,
Here we go.
Why?
The Pope Francis began his trip with an uncompromising message. Okay? Keep that in mind. Uncompromising message. Quote, it is right to ask for forgiveness and to make every effort to support the victims. Wait a minute. Didn't this article say a little bit earlier that the Pope, they weren't sure if the Pope was going to meet with the victims? So what about the uncompromising message to support the victims? But they don't know if the Pope's going to meet with the victims or not.
Well,
Get the fuck out of here.
You know how busy he is talking to God? He doesn't have time for that.
Yeah, really.
This is a bunch of Orwellian doublespeak is what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. A good cognitive dissonance piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, okay, I just wanted to loop back real quick to that topic earlier about, extremist language, incitement on the internet, that kind of a thing. It made me remember the trend that was happening, 10, 12, I guess over 20 years ago it started. Extreme, right? Everything was extreme. The X Games, extreme sports, extreme this. Remember how that was?
Yes, yes.
That mantra or that meme or that trope was just shoved down everybody's throats, and
extreme
everything.
Extreme this, extreme that. Yeah.
And so it's I think this is there's layers and layers and layers to this, but this is one of these problem reaction solution type things where they a message like that is crafted and floated and taken up and integrated by so many people, and then once they integrate it and they make their lives extreme, then the thing flips and shame on you for being extreme in any way.
Yeah.
So there's just such setups.
I get what you're saying.
I saw a 13 in that, Aaron, that you're scrolling through. T13 radio.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of those lately.
Yes. 13 is one of their best and brightest hoax codes.
Yeah, speaking of 13, in the news right now is this case of the Turpin family.
Oh, yeah, that is so much garbage.
They had 13 kids, and a couple of them were shackled to various pieces of furniture.
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
They were allowed to eat once a day and shower once a month.
I'm not buying it.
I'm not buying it either.
Why not?
First of all, because it's on the news.
Yeah, really. Start with that. Second of all, they interviewed a couple of witnesses, and one guy basically said he saw the kids once when they said they were going to fine people for not having their yards up to snuff. And so the children came out and cleaned up the yard, and then that was the only time he saw them. And then this other lady is saying they wouldn't make eye contact. They didn't want to look at you. Like she's seen them often enough to get a real feel for what all the children behave like. Okay, this just doesn't mesh. If the children were always in the house only to be seen that one time from the neighbor next door, he seemed to be, maybe not immediately next door, but within a few houses. Only seen them once, and yet this other lady somehow managed to see them enough to get a really good feel for their behavior as a whole. Something isn't adding up. I'm just saying.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so let's move forward to Kentucky. If you haven't heard, Kentucky senator asks the governor to declare a state of emergency because of water issues. If you don't know this, apparently there's a portion of Kentucky that's having a serious water problem. One area in Kentucky around Hazard County, them Duke boys.
Yes.
One area around Hazard County has been without water for weeks. How come this hasn't been on the news?
Yeah, you'd think that would be a crisis that would be making major news.
Apparently it's as a result of shoddy infrastructure. All those tax dollars they collect to maintain infrastructure. Apparently they weren't using it.
Apparently.
apparently the problem is, according to one article, that they fix one leak, and as soon as they turn the water on, they find another leak. Right? It's like whack-a-mole playing.
Yeah.
Stick your finger in the dam and the dike, right?
And right next to you, it pops open.
Yeah, and then I run out of fingers and the dike breaks. So, State Senator Brandon Smith asked Governor Matt Bevin to declare a state of emergency and send in the National Guard to assist with delivering clean water tankers and installing portable showers. Do we really? Okay. Hang on. Just stop. I think the governor can handle it. I don't think the state senator needs to be telling the governor how to handle it. If it was a state of emergency and it needed to be declared, the governor is perfectly capable of handling that without being told by a state senator.
You'd think.
Yeah.
You'd think. And then it moves forward to send in the National Guard to assist with delivering clean water tankers and installing portable showers. Is their National Guard the only people that can install portable showers and deliver water?
I would think there were others, like many others.
Like, hey, we don't have water. Fuck, we need the National Guard. Get the fucking army over here right now.
Really?
I don't understand this. What about the Red Cross? What about Hershey? They're a fucking bottling company.
Yeah, really. Well, I wouldn't drink their water, but yeah.
Well, if you like fluoride, but whatever.
No, thank you.
You won't die today, but maybe someday soon. Hopefully someday soon.
Yeah.
This just blows my mind. This whole article here blows my mind. Kentucky senator asked the governor to declare a state emergency. Hey, Senator, get your ass back in fucking Washington and straighten some shit out and leave us alone. We got this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yep.
And then the National Guard coming right, by the way, right on the heels, because it was just last month that, was it Rahm Emanuel, the governor of Illinois, was discussing or calling for UN troops to come in because they can't handle fucking street crime?
Yep. That's BS too. But it is injecting the notion of the UN troops on coming into our...
Again, this is script writing. This is pre-programming. This is, hey, everybody get used to, oh, we might have the UN. Oh, no, not right now. Don't worry about it. But just think about it. We might have UN. Oh, no. National Guard. We might have National Guard. No, we're cool. No, that's cool. But just keep it in your mind that, the troops might be here. We might need them for, I don't know, showers, because we need a shower.
Yes. Oh,
just keep it in the front of your mind, everybody, that we might have National Guard on every fucking corner with goddamn automatic rifles, making sure that nobody steps out of line, but they're here to deliver water.
It's the war on thirst.
There you go.
The war on thirst.
Extreme.
I gotta find it. Hang on, I gotta run it. Let's see, the war on thirst. Is there any interesting numbers that come out of this?
That should be some soda company's new campaign.
Yeah.
Like the war on thirst.
Here we go. We've got 77 in Jewish reduced. That's important. Let's see, anything else that looks particularly interesting? Not really. Maybe I should take the word "the" out and see if it makes it look better.
Greatest potential said thirst, as in Thurston Howell the Third.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Good one, GP.
In Sumerian, you have 9. In Frank Baconis, War on Thirst with no caps is 330.
Marie.
and Sumerian, it's 990.
Marie Kiskonen said fluoride makes you thirsty.
Yes. Oh, and Satanic. Hey, we've had a lot of 55s tonight. In Satanic, it's 550. So yeah. Anyway, just thought that would be fun. Carry on.
So, you know, Trump said the shithole. Let's move forward. Shithole. Let's talk about shitholes.
Oh, yeah.
Trump said shithole countries. First of all, that was like a second or third hand account. There's no evidence that he actually said it. There's no recording that he said it. And whether he did or not, CNN the other day, somebody actually counted. Guess how many times CNN said the word shithole?
33?
13 times.
No, that's a good guess. I'll give you.
Well, wait, didn't they say s-hole?
I don't.
Right?
I didn't do the counting. I didn't do.
No, but I think I saw the clip that you're referring to, and it was like, you know, s-hole, 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 s-hole.
Bart, I suppose it depends on what time of day, because later in the evening when the kids are in bed, they're a little looser with their language.
Yes.
It may also depend on what network, because like RT, if you go to RT, they just say shithole. They don't care. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I will say that I did hear it once on MSNBC.
Okay.
I was trying to make sort of a creative point, right? Which is like, this is they just use the excuse of saying s-hole because it sounds like asshole, and so they get to sort of swear. Which is what a shithole is, isn't it? The asshole. Well, yeah.
I like where you're going with that, Bart. I agree.
What's funny to me, right? And it's been funny for like, I don't know, 30 years to me, is this is adults playing children's naughty word games, right? And pretending that this thing is serious and somber, right? Have you ever seen like the whole like compilations of newscasters who slipped and said a swear by accident, and how titillated the co-host, or how shocked they are, like, oh my god, you said shit, you know,
you
and it's
used
like
that word. Oh,
these are adults, right? These are adults playing little giggle games. And what is that layer, right? What is that layer that separates, you know, polite, like television politeness from reality, right? And I make the point of like, okay, you don't get to see, you know, bare breasts. You can't say asshole, but you know, start flipping through the channels. Every other one is somebody shooting somebody in the head.
What is it? The FCC regulations? Did I get those initials right?
All right.
Those.
I got to show you guys.
Oh, by the way, Haiti is a important shithole. Has anybody ever seen photos of Haiti? Like,
yeah,
shithole is a great descriptor.
No, exactly. No, dead on. Absolutely. But you know what? I'm going to show you something that's even more poignant. First of all, answer the question, how many times did CNN say shithole?
185.
You're very close. That's 195.
Ah, damn.
I mean, literally. Okay, in one day.
You cut out your state.
In one day.
Aaron, I just heard 100, and then
195 times in one day.
Okay.
All right, so now I'm sharing. I want to show you. This is a video put out. It's called Orange County, California is now a shithole. Now, I'm not going to play the whole video. It's 8 minutes, but this is a guy on a bicycle riding through the tent city in Orange County, California. So when we want to talk about shitholes, let's look at our own shithole.
Yes.
Everybody bend over and get a mirror and look at your own shithole, because here it is in your fucking face right here. And this video goes on for 8 fucking minutes.
Wow.
It's 8 minutes, and I'm just going to skip forward. Boom, Under the bridge, there's tents. This is Tent City. This is one of the tent cities in California.
There are plenty of them too.
Oh yeah, this is what Oakland.
And look, they back right up against apartment complexes. Look at this, right up against the fence at apartment. Would you imagine living in that apartment complex? I'd be afraid to go out at night.
Yeah, really.
This video goes on for 8 solid minutes.
But unemployment is down.
This is our own backyard, folks. This is our own fucking backyard.
Yep. Unemployment is down because fewer people have lost their jobs because there are fewer jobs to lose. And so there's fewer people that are on the unemployment rolls. Ergo, unemployment is down.
Yeah, so that's another way of lying, right?
Yep.
Winston Churchill. There's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. And so,
well, yeah. I mean, everyone who has been on unemployment and then fallen off is no longer counted as unemployed.
Right. That's what I mean. It's if you just rig the statistics that you count a certain way, well, you can get them to say just about anything. And so
yes, exactly.
And then behind them, they have some sort of higher authority because they sound like statistics or they sound like math, right? Smart people use math. Therefore, this is a smart person framing this thing with math and English language, and there's citing math, right? And oh my gosh, it's too easy to it's too easy to play these games if you get everybody trained just to look at the surface of things and not dig one layer deeper. It's never mind 2, 3, 5 layers deeper.
Don't think, just react.
Yeah, just go shopping.
Right. Just go shopping. That's all they want you to do. Don't think, just go shopping. We don't care what you spend your money on. Just spend your money.
Aaron, Allison Twist O'Neill wanted to know what video this is.
The title of the video is Orange County. Let me just on full screen. Orange County, California is now a shithole, capital NWO. And this is from the channel Scissor Fight. If everybody can see that right there, Scissor Fight. So there's the title. And this is a guy on a bicycle who rides for almost 10 solid minutes. Almost 10 solid minutes on a bicycle. And he ain't moving slow.
Yeah.
He's probably doing 18 mile an hour.
Yeah, yeah, he's clipping along. And
this goes on for let's see, exactly 8 minutes. This is Orange County, California, and this is one of many tent cities. I've seen tent cities that were. This one's like long and stretched out. I've seen them where they're like really dense and thick.
Yep.
Yeah. Portland.
This is our house, guys. This is our house.
Mm-hmm.
If we can't get our own fucking house in order, we need to just not even be anywhere outside of our own border. There's no reason for us to be in any other country. There's no reason to have troops in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, wherever the fuck they are. There's no reason to be spending a goddamn $38 billion a year for fucking Israel military defense.
Well, the thing is, though, once you understand that all the governmental bodies are corporations and their only obligation is to make a profit for the investors, this sort of stuff makes sense. They don't care about they don't care about, that is one thing that is why I am so driven to solve for the problem of corporations, and just get rid of the money, because without money, corporations as we know them, oh, I'm getting some echo. Corporations is okay, it's getting worse.
Terrible echo.
It's Bart.
I think it's Bart. No, it's not me.
It's not me.
Every time I talk, I see your little thing.
I'll do a restart, and then
we'll do a mute for a second. Do a mute and see if that helps. Now let's see. Oh, no echo.
Hey, look, it went away.
Yes, it went away.
So,
and now I've forgotten where I was with that, but at any rate, so I'm driven to solve the problem.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Is it back, or did that fix it?
Yes, it came back.
Okay, I'm gonna restart then.
Yeah, okay. just leave and come back.
Oh, he did. Cat. I'm sorry, I have a cat that's creating issues in my life at the moment. So where were we?
Well, we were on shitholes, and apparently our own backyard is a shithole.
Very true.
So,
are we okay now? Did that help?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Yes, that helped.
It probably just starts lagging just like a microsecond at a time, and then by like what 2-3 hours in, it's probably shifted a bit. So you're.
Yeah, this happened last time.
You
got an echo for no reason, and then when you left and came back, it was cleared up.
You'll have to send me the outro again, Amy.
Oh, jeez. He lost the link, Amy.
There's no excuse for it. Hang on.
At some point, you're gonna think I'm doing this on purpose.
Yeah,
I already do. What do you mean? At some point, I know you.
I don't like to mess with people, though. So
derailing the conversation as usual.
Absolutely.
Really? Is that how you see me?
No.
Okay. All right.
Not yet.
So I guess you guys have heard of this Tide Pod Challenge.
Actually, I haven't. What is it about?
Can you repeat that?
Tide Pod Challenge.
Oh, right. I thought you said Tide, and I was thinking tripod and going Tide. What?
No.
Okay, Tide Pod. Yes, I've heard of it.
I miss the days of planking.
Yeah,
remember when everybody was planking, and that was it. Just not eating detergent. Why people eating detergent?
When those things first came out, you have to wonder if the creators of those Tide Pods were aware, and there's no way that they couldn't have been aware that those things looked delicious. They looked like candy. they looked like candy. And then what happened?
Know. Aaron, I don't know, man. A dog shit kind of looks like a piece of chocolate, but
yes, I'm with you on that part.
I'm just saying.
Especially the paydays.
Yes.
The chocolate-covered paydays are
Baby Ruth.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was Baby Ruth.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to derail with the Baby Ruth comment.
From Caddyshack, the Baby Ruth. All right, so as if humanity has not hit the lowest of lows, as if people are not retarded enough, and I've spoken about this, and you remember I told you that 7 or 8% of adults surveyed thought chocolate milk came from brown cows. That's how fucking retarded. Right. That's how retarded people are.
Some people are, yes.
Well, apparently, if you don't know, people are posting YouTube videos of themselves biting down on these fucking detergent packets, Tide Pod, the pods, those little colored packets that you're supposed to. And those things don't even work very well. Everybody I've heard says that they don't even dissolve completely, and they're just shit product.
Yeah, you pull your shirt out. And it's got some dry.
I don't know. I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jack.
Go ahead, Zach.
No, I was just gonna say I think that this whole.
Go ahead.
Wait, did you just say you thought it was bullcrap?
I think it's bullpucky. I think the product was.
No.
Do you know somebody that personally did that?
There are videos of people biting down on those things and getting mouths full of liquid detergent.
Yeah, but the question becomes, could they be planted?
I suppose they could be.
No.
What's
no.
really in those pods?
For what reason? To turn the tide?
Well, well, I'm just thinking in terms of if they do that, then they know that some percentage of us will be stupid enough to try it ourselves. Not me.
Well, that's the point, Amy. Some of us are stupid enough to try it ourselves, and the YouTube is proof of it. People are doing it.
Well, I think then initially it was a manufactured.
Oh, maybe.
That's what I think. I think that at least initially we had.
And, whether or not we believe these articles, because I'm fully aware that a lot of the articles that we read are not real articles. They're CIA planted articles. Project Mockingbird, Operation Mockingbird, absolutely. But whether or not we believe the article headline I'm about to read you is irrelevant. However, here it is. The American Association of Poison Control Centers reports that 40 cases in the first 11 days of this year. 40 cases of kids going to the fucking hospital because they're having horrible reactions to, the horrible fucking toxic chemicals that they just bit down on. So whether that's real and true, 40 cases in 11 days, I don't know if that's real and true. All I know is that there are actual YouTube videos of people biting down on these things and getting a mouthful of colorful detergent goo.
I tend to believe it because here it's easy. Okay, it is not difficult. I'll admit to a stupid thing that I tried when I was.
We've all done stupid shit. No big deal.
For attention.
Somewhere a buddy of mine heard about it, and then we tried it, and it was you take a plastic bag and you put Glade. You empty out all the aerosol from a Glade can, and then you huff that, and then everything goes wow, 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 wow. It slows down, and it's trippy. It's like a inverted nitrous hit. It's very strange, and it tastes good because we used to get the peach flavored Glade, so it really wasn't that bad. The baby powder flavored wasn't good. That had a really bad aftertaste.
You don't like baby flavor?
It's really an acquired. It's an acquired taste.
It's an acquired. Yeah, I am European, but I feel like if I was, Southeast Asian, maybe I would go for it. I don't know, but
it's what's for dinner.
It's
okay.
But I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I've always been relatively intelligent, but yet there I was in the graveyard. Huffing Glade, and so that was stupid. So I could see people eating these pods, and there's really nothing bigger than people just being stupid behind it. I could see that.
Mad Pieman's directed a comment to you. He says it's full of fiber.
Woohoo!
Okay, guys. A couple other things that I could cover here, unless somebody else has something they want to talk about. The LGBTQRSTUVWXY and oh yeah, P for pedophile. That community is off the fucking rails and completely out of control. Let's see. The question is why? Why is the LGBTQ community getting so much attention? What is the ultimate agenda? I have my own answers. You guys feel free to pipe up. But let's see. Where was it? Where did it go? Where did my fucking notes go? Damn it. Maybe I didn't write it all down. I forget where it was. I wish I could remember. Maybe no. I don't know if it was. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't remember where it was. But somewhere very recently, just this week, they passed maybe California, maybe that they just removed the male-female selection from the driver's licenses, something like that.
I think that was, yeah, I think, but don't hold me to that. But I think all seeing Pennsylvania. But yeah, one of the states definitely is said to have done that.
I tell you what, let me see if I can find this real quick. There's a video from Gary Orsom. I love this guy, this Australian social commentator. He's really good. O-R-S, there he is, Orsom. It's a video I want to share. If we got a little bit of time, do a few minutes overtime. License to beige. Here it is. Let me do a screen share again. I was going to play a Philip DeFranco video regarding the what was it, that coolest monkey in the jungle t-shirt controversy that went around the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I missed it.
I saw that.
All right, Gary Orsom, License to Beige. This is only a 4-minute video, and I'm not going to play the whole thing. Let's see. Do I have a note where to start? All right, just check this out for a minute. We can do a few minutes overtime. Zach, are you cool?
Yeah.
All right. Let this play for a few minutes. Listen to this.
Hello everyone. Well, chalk up another victory for the LGBTI task force. Now political correctness is making its way into your wallet. Queensland scraps genders from its driver's licenses after receiving complaints from the LGBTI community. The Queensland government has scrapped a requirement for gender to be shown on all driver's licenses after complaints from the LGBTI community. The Department of Transport and Main Roads, TMR, confirmed that height was also removed as a requirement after concerns the collection of personal information was potentially discriminatory. However, the department said the move towards genderless licenses was due to the need to make drivers and marine licenses compliant with new anti-discrimination laws, according to the Courier Mail. Another reason for the change was due to improvements in technology, a spokesman for Roads Minister Mark Bailey said. Oh, what technological improvements would that be? Ones that prevent certain words being able to be printed onto a license. TMR has received complaints and suggestions from members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and intersex community about displaying gender/sex, male or female, on TMR cards, a department document said. Other information, such as eye and hair colour, is also being removed from records attached to licences. Now, to my reasoning, there would be 3 ways to deal with any complaints from the LGBTI community about a person's gender appearing on their drive. Tell them to fuck off. But, in the name of political correctness, if you really felt the need to go, look, all right, I'll be nice, you could go for option 2, which is to use this great advanced technology, these technological improvements, to print the word of any gender that you want to identify as, be it snowflake, fat pride, whatever gender it is you want to be. Knock yourselves out, go for it, have a great time. But the truth is that it's not really about inclusion. It's not about their right to express whatever gender they want. They're not asking for categories to be added to licenses. They're asking for them to be removed. It's about making you change to accommodate them, to assert their authority over you. It's actually designed to go even deeper than that. Why would you also push for hair and eye colour to be removed, distinguishing features from your driver's licence, no less, where you're meant to be able to be identified by your distinguishing features? And the answer to that is because it's also designed to remove your individualism, to slowly but surely get you conditioned to become genderless beige person number 2346, so that this tiny minority can claim victimhood status, claiming to be discriminated against if they're identified on their driver's license by their biological sex rather than their chosen manufactured gender. No, it's you instead. You have to surrender your gender completely. That's why it's the removal of any gender reference whatsoever, rather than adding LGBTI as a category to the driver's license. You have to be rendered genderless so that we're all the same. We're all beige.
Nailed it.
I agree. I also think that there is some element of the Baphomet involved as well. But that, not
Baphomet is a hermaphrodite.
Yeah, but it's not genderless. It's both genders.
Okay, fair enough.
Which, I think that they're kind of going for both, if you will.
But, well, yeah. It reminds me of the 1984 movie. I don't know how many of you have seen it.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a scene or two in that movie. One of them was where everybody files into the hallway. They're on their way down to the auditorium where they sit at the Jumbotron and Scream Trader at whatever face they plaster up there.
Right.
But when they meet each other in the hallway, they say to each other, "Hello, brother. Hello, sister. Hello, brother. Hello, sister." They're not allowed to address each other by name. And although Orwell, the brother-sister, doesn't, qualify as genderless.
Right. It's nameless.
Orwell got a lot of things. Everybody's wearing, gray, blue, khaki. There's really no identity.
Yep.
Orwell got a lot of things right. We've moved.
Don't say Orwell got a lot of things right. He wrote it as a blueprint. Work in the blueprint for their purposes.
I don't think Orwell wrote it as the blueprint.
Get it right. They followed him.
I think they fed him information and he wrote a documentary. I don't think Orwell was the one who created those ideas.
Well, didn't he have a brother? Didn't he have like a brother that he worked closely with who was in the high up in the government? Yeah. Orwell's brother, George Orwell's brother.
Anybody in the chat? Does anybody in the chat know the answer to that question? Because I think Bart is correct, but I just don't know.
Well, I guess the point isn't who wrote those ideas. The point is that the ideas were written specifically as a blueprint, irrespective of who actually wrote them.
Totally.
There was a between Huxley and Orwell, I get what his real name was. Between those two, there was sort of a little competition to see who could come up with the best blueprint. And ever since, they've been taking the pieces that work from each of those blueprints. But to say he got it right, no, that's not quite the approach I'd give it. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
There was between Huxley.
Oh, that echoes back.
Sorry, that was my fault. I was trying to open that tab back up. My bad. Go ahead, Amy. Finish.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Bart.
Did anybody catch the David Icke interview with Brian Rose?
No.
Nope.
Recently? So I had sort of drifted away from David Icke for a while. And in a lot of ways, he was instrumental in my early days of, like, you know, I think the greatest secret ever told, I think, was the first book that I ever picked up of his, and maybe a similar kind of scenario where maybe, I don't know. I don't know what to think of David all the way. But in the sense of it, during this interview, after not listening to him, not paying attention to him for a really long time, I watched the first hour of this interview, and I got to say, I like the majority of what he's saying. I'm still in line with much of his grander, bigger visions or explanations. But topically, he did mention in that interview, and I forget who he was describing, but that it was a meeting that had happened, I guess maybe in the 70s or so, and it was one of these sort of a higher up guy, insider, and then he had everybody turn off the cameras, turn off recording equipment, and then he gave this this speech about what all is going to be happening, and whoever ended up writing this said, you know, the most shocking part of it all was this concept that was floated out there, which is, in the near future, we're going to make boys and girls, men and women, the same. And at that time, it seemed like a totally pie in the sky kind of concept of how could that even be possible to do. And yet, you know, here we are somewhere in the middle of it. And so many people are on board and thinking that this is normal and it's okay and it's good. And then a lot of people are going, hey, hold on a minute. This doesn't seem, you know, this doesn't seem like it's all that great. And then, of course, there's the people that are, you know, saying this is an agenda. This is terrible that this is happening. But I just wanted to point out that idea of that it is if they were talking about this in the 70s, if the higher up controlled dominator type, social engineer type folks were talking about this specifically, then there's good reason to think that it's part of an agenda. I think I'm probably speaking, preaching to the choir here for the most part. But
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it's part of the agenda. I can't imagine it not being.
Well, no, go ahead, Zach.
I was wondering if there's anything else that stood out to you, Bart.
What about that interview?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you catch it, Zach?
There was the part where he was talking about another scholar. Well, about that topic or anything in the interview?
No, anything in the interview.
Anything? Okay. The other one thing was the concept that he's floating out there, and he's getting this from another scholar, and it's the idea that there was a radical consciousness shift around 6,000 years ago, and it came out of the Middle East, and it's, I don't know, you could maybe call it like the Babylonian agenda or Babylonian consciousness. And ever since then, ever since that sort of consciousness emerged, there's been a concerted effort to eradicate, genocide all native populations wherever they may exist. And I think that whole idea of native populations actually shifts as well, right? So it's not only the Native Americans that got genocided. It's not only the Aboriginals and the Maori that you know, native peoples, and then the colonizers came in, and then they started. I think it's Europe itself, right, can be thought of as a native population that was invaded from the Middle East, and it what came with it was like this Yahwehist mentality, right, as the Abrahamic Yahwist mindset, and clashed against a more sort of earth, spirit, nature-based, pagan-based, more sophisticated, grounded of the earth, in alignment with you know, earthly cycles, cosmic cycles type people, right? Who had, you know, well-developed social philosophies or societies, but this this new consciousness is like very much a dominator type consciousness, and they're still in control. Like, you know, David Icke ties that in with the reptilian bloodlines. He sort of, I think he actually does a nice job of explaining what he means by that, what he means by the whole shapeshifter reptilian thing, and I've never heard him describe it better than he does it during this interview. Sorry, long-winded response, but that one was.
Looks like Jux fell off. Oh, he's back. Never mind.
Happened, buddy? You get kicked out?
Yeah, I got kicked out.
Listen, we're after 10 o'clock. Final thoughts, guys?
I just wanted to point out that I have a video up that discusses the bullying and harassing I'm receiving from YouTube for having gone and picked on a video that I mirrored almost a year ago. And then instead of saying, hey, we're taking your video down that you mirrored, saying, we're going to strike you. My thumbnail option. Anyway, that's my final thought.
Zach.
My final thoughts would just...
What do you think, brother?
Would be to, you know, let's keep on analyzing these events as they happen, but also to expect things to get better, because I believe that you know, that could have an impact on reality if we just expect it to get better. And
energy can have an effect. Well, I keep expecting that we're going to hit the tipping point on a better foundation ready to emerge from. I'm working on it.
And I've got a big problem with your prediction, Aaron.
Oh yeah? Tell me about it.
You know, I don't want to start to expect bad things to happen on certain days. And number two, that's my birthday, so come on.
Oh, March. Really? March 11th is your birthday?
Yeah.
So are you Jewish?
No.
Are you Illuminati?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, are you aware of the reason I call 3/11 as a day?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And I do appreciate that. And it is good to make predictions like that, as long as it's not an expected thing, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not anticipating. It's only something that I'm pointing to so that people can look. If it happens, I can say, look, there you go. I called it. Fucking A, I was right that the symbols mean this, and I called it based on these symbols and these numbers. It was mostly numerology. It's not symbology. This is numerology. So that's all it is. It's if I'm right, it only proves that the numerology really is that kind of significant.
Right, that there's something to that, and you can keep trying to make predictions like that.
Yeah, so I mean that's my big, Israel, for those who don't know, we're talking about March 11th of this year. March 11th is the 70th day of the year, and it happens to be a Sunday. It also happens to be on a full moon, and the 70th day of the year, which happens to be this year, is the 70th anniversary of Israel, and they love their numerology and they love their sevens. So, oh, and by the way, I got a note here. The celebration, the Israel celebration, is actually going to take place on May 13th through May 15th. It'll be a 70-hour, so there's your 70, and they're doing that. That's, ba-boom, bada bing. It's a 70-hour celebration in Israel because of their 70th anniversary, and it's actually called March of Nations.
Yeah, very interesting.
So, we're not.
I think they should call it the March of 7 Dimes.
Yes,
it's a good one.
Ba-dum-bum.
All right, you guys.
Oh, I didn't get to say my final thoughts.
Yeah.
Come on with it.
We're all doomed.
We're all gonna die.
I'm glad you think that's funny, Amy.
Well, my final thoughts are fire.
Fire.
There's a fire in the hangout. Everyone, get out of here.
Run, hurry.
Okay, so don't trample the children on your way out, but we do love you all, and thank you all for being here. Marie Kistonen, New Face, Mad Pyman, and Speculum. Nish, are you still hanging around? Oh, we love you. We love you, Nish. Cheryl Vincent and Blue Blood. Dean's Dude made an appearance. Adelaide and who else?
We are free.
Lady Zaga, we are free. Greatest potential. We love you guys. If you got a wrench, we love you. If I don't mention your name and you got a wrench, just consider yourself loved. Everybody's been here. Blue Blood Guitar. Allison Twist was in the house. I don't know if she's still hanging around. Oh, Big P made an appearance. So thanks, guys, for being here. Thank you for your contributions. I have taken some notes. Lady Zaga was, Sons and Daughters of Liberty. Thank you. I've been taking notes. Lady Zaga has been dropping a couple of links in the chat here, and I'm going to go check some of those out. But we want to thank everybody, especially thank you, Zack. Thank you for the amazing. Look, this dude, out of the blue, hooked up with our show early on when Ian and I got started. He believed in what we were doing, and for no reason, I didn't ask. Nobody asked. He just sent. He upgraded, and he's like, I got a microphone. Who needs it? So I didn't have one. He sent it to me. Thank you, Zack. And then later on, Zack and I met. I traveled up through Pennsylvania. He put me up. I broadcast 2 shows from his house. Beautiful human being. I love Zack to death. He's my brother to the end. And thank you, buddy. Thanks for being here, and thanks for just being who you are. You're an awesome dude.
Thanks for doing what you guys do. Thanks, Bart and Amy and Aaron. Yeah.
It was nice to have you with us, Zack.
All right, you guys. We're out of here. Everybody take care. Much love, everybody. Be good to each other, and pick up your trash. See you guys later.
Yep. Pick up your trash. Love always.
Good night. Oh, shoot. I got to get the outro going.
Damn it, Bart. I'm going to have to fire that son of a bitch again.
They're going to have to fire him.
Start screaming.
Real soon now.
Dock this man a day's pay for napping on the job.
Damn straight. You got him highlighted, Aaron?
Okay. All right. And here we go. Peace.
You know, I just wanted to say this real quick before we finalize. I didn't get to cover the ozone hoax. We're still live, by the way.
Oh, okay.
What's the ozone hoax, Aaron?
If you guys want to, we can do a little bit of overtime, and I'll do it.
Let's do it.
So if you guys are still hanging out in the chat, or if you're hanging out watching the show, stick around a minute, and I will shatter your world with the ozone hoax if you're not aware of it. Zach, you are, pardon me, but 32?
27.
Oh, gosh, you're younger than I thought. Wow. Okay. But you're still probably old enough to know about the ozone, the holes in the ozone.
Yeah, the holes in the ozone and
back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s, yeah, I remember. Well, I've heard, yeah.
And they blamed it on hairspray and cans of spray,
sure,
you know, deodorant and things like that. CFEs or CFCs, the chemical.
CFCs.
Chlorofluorocarbons.
Yes, and they blamed holes in the ozone on
chlorofluorocarbons.
Okay. Well,
chlorine, fluorine, and carbon.
Here's the thing with ozone. And hey, World Peace showed up. I didn't know. Did you just show up, or you've been here a little while? I don't know. Anyway, here's the thing with ozone. I know there's only 15 people watching right now. Half of the people bolted because I said goodbye, but here it is. Here it is. Ozone. Have you ever smelled it? Let me just cover that real quick. Have you ever smelled ozone?
I have.
You know what ozone smells like? Do you guys, you ever get that odor? Smell it?
Yeah.
Have you ever messed with an electric train set, or have you ever gotten near like an electric motor, or have you ever been outside during a major lightning storm and smelled that pungent ozone smell? In fact, there are even machines called ozone machines. They're supposed to be odor eliminators, and they use them in flood and water restoration. If you have mold and shit like that, they set up ozone machines. So here's the thing. Ozone is created two ways. Electricity is one way, and that's why you smell ozone around electric motors and electrical discharges like lightning and things like that.
Uh-huh.
Another way ozone is created is with ultraviolet light. So a quick chemistry lesson, and I'll be real fast. Oxygen is one atom. There's an atom of oxygen. And then there's the molecule O2, which we breathe in, which is 2 atoms of oxygen. And for those who don't know, ozone is 3 atoms of oxygen. Ozone is O3. So when electricity passes through an oxygen molecule, it splits them apart, creating an ion. So you have 2 free oxygen atoms floating around, and they have a tendency to stick to each other, and they will typically stick to an oxygen molecule, creating an O3 molecule. That is ozone. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've been told that there are holes in our ozone layer. First and foremost, there's no such thing as an ozone layer.
Right. I was going to say, first we were told that there is an ozone layer. Then we were told there's a hole in it.
There is no such thing as an ozone layer, because ozone exists here on the ground. I can smell it. Ozone exists 100 feet in the air, 1 mile in the air, all the way up to the top of the atmosphere. Anywhere oxygen exists, ozone exists, because of the phenomenon of electricity and because of the phenomenon of ultraviolet light striking oxygen molecules. Okay?
Okay.
So here's what happens. When you have an atmosphere full of oxygen and you bombard it with ultraviolet light, ozone is created. Okay?
Right, okay.
Because ultraviolet light hits oxygen molecules, creating oxygen ions, which stick to each other, creating ozone. So they told us for years, decades, they told us that the ozone layer protects us from ultraviolet light. That's a complete lie. Ozone doesn't protect us from ultraviolet light. Oxygen does.
Mm-hmm.
And then they told us that we have holes in our ozone, and it's our fault because we're spraying deodorant, pressurized deodorant, and hairspray and air fresheners and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's our fault. We're using too much of this wrong chemical. Our fault. Your fault, you bastards. So here's the thing. Does anybody remember where the ozone holes were? Where were they? Do you remember seeing pictures or
wasn't it around the poles?
Yes, they were. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anywhere else?
I think that I heard that there was I don't remember where, but they said there was a hole over someplace.
Okay, well, they either lied or you heard wrong.
Well, yeah.
The holes in our by the way, we have a
story of my life.
We have a ozonosphere, which is nothing more than an area in the high atmosphere where you can detect a higher level of ozone. Okay, technically it's a layer. It surrounds the whole Earth. It's an ozonosphere. And so in one sense, there's no real ozone layer because ozone exists throughout the entire atmosphere, but it is thicker and more detectable.
Yeah, it's more ozone-y. It's more of like an ozone-y layer.
It's kind of ozone-y up there.
Yeah.
Except for where there's less sunlight. Is that what you're getting at? So naturally there would be less?
Yes. Because what happens? We live in a globe. And for all you flat earthers out there, I'm sorry, we're going to have to go there. We live on a globe.
Yes, we do.
And it tilts. And when we have our seasons because of the 23.5 degree tilt. So when it's summer in the northern hemisphere, the Antarctic pole receives little to no sunlight. And during our northern hemisphere winter, the northern pole, the Arctic Circle, receives little to no light. Yes?
Yep.
Everybody agree?
Yep.
Everybody's on page. Okay. Well, when you have an area, particularly around the poles, that's not receiving sunlight because it's in winter and it's not receiving enough light, ultraviolet light, to strike oxygen molecules to create the ozone. This is why we have holes at the poles.
Did you know that we're still live?
I know that we're still live.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize we were.
It occurred to me at the last second that I didn't get to cover my ozone hoax.
Okay, got it.
I really wanted to spend more time, and I'm just going to wrap this up. I want to make it short because I know we're in overtime. But I just want to make it very clear to anybody who thought for one moment that it was your fault that the holes in the ozone were because you were spraying too much compressed deodorant and hairspray. It's complete fucking bullshit.
Oh, that's where you're going with that. Okay. Phew. I'm half joking, but what comes to mind for me is maybe the whole ozone layer thing was the beta run for the global warming hoax.
It was the first. It was one of the first steps towards world government, because we're talking about an entire global problem, and the only people that can solve global problems is global government.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, predictably, every single year,
the
ozone holes that they say are holes appear around the poles and wintertime every single year. And by the way, it's 2018. When was the last time you heard anybody talk about the holes in the ozone?
Oh, it's been a while.
10 years. 12 years.
It's been about 35 years that I can think of.
I seem to recall a really smart guy bringing it. Oh, it was me. I brought it up just to make that very point of when was the last time you heard about the ozone layer. So during one of our shows, I did mention it, and therefore it's been mentioned recently.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad we have such smart people on the panel. So there it is in a nutshell. Ozone is created by oxygen molecules being struck by ultraviolet light, therefore creating O3, which is ozone. And when oxygen molecules do not have ultraviolet light bombardment, such as the poles when they are in winter, that's when you see less ozone in that layer of atmosphere.
It's a natural occurrence.
Right.
And under Margaret Thatcher, scientists were dispatched to the poles during the Margaret Thatcher era, because the scientists already suspected that this was the case. And they went there to do their tests to confirm that that was, in fact, the case. All the while, the headlines were reading, "It's your fault."
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the part. That's the part I was sort of pointing to around that it was the beta test for the global warming thing, because that's the most dangerous part of that message. Is that pointing? It's you serfs, you plebeians on the land. You've done this through your irresponsible consumption of the manufactured goods that we served up to you.
Right.
So it's twofold, really. Yeah. It's the fear. Not the fear. It's the blame to make you feel bad, and then also to establish a worldwide problem that needs a central organization to fix.
Yeah.
It's a clever deception.
Problem, reaction, solution.
It's a win-win for them.
Yeah, good one, Aaron. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes.
Yeah, guys. So there it is.
Yeah, but too science-y though, Aaron. I mean, like, why even go to chemistry?
Hey, curve doesn't water, bro. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
All right, so there it is. I had ozone in the title. I had strawberry ozone layer fields forever, and I wanted to make sure to get my ozone hoax discussion in there.
Get your ozone
Otherwise,
on.
I was going to have to edit the title and shit. So,
and we wouldn't want to do that. But no, actually, I'm glad you.
Oh, Bella made an appearance. Hi, honey.
Hey, Bella.
Oh, Bella.
Hey, Bella.
All right, y'all. Well, I'm going to skedoodle. I don't have to do the outro again, do I?
Well, no, I guess I'll let you off the hook since you're so shitty at it anyway.
I was good at it this time. Oh, I got it. See how quickly I got it up once I realized it was time to get the outro?
Well,
like, bada bing, bada boom.
Let's just do it a cappella.
I think we did it. We had to do it a cappella a little while back.
Yeah, we did.
Because the sound wouldn't come on. And then
we did it a cappella. We did.
Yes, we did.
It was glorious.
All right, you guys. It's 10:30, so I got my ozone talk. I got my ozone on, and I feel better now. So there it is. Bella, I'm glad to see you made it. Love you, honey. And everybody else, thanks for sticking around. Allison Twist, especially. Allison, I owe you an email response, and I've been putting it off, and I apologize. I will respond to that email. And other than that, final thoughts, and then we're out of here, guys.
I thought we did final thoughts.
I'm giving you one more chance.
All right, final thoughts, guys. Make sure you're taking your quality multivitamins and drinking some quality water.
Distilled water.
Distilled water. Don't be eating that pork.
Pork? Did you just say don't eat pork?
Pork.
You are a freaking Jew. I knew it.
There's reasons.
Hey, man, I'm a Jew, and I like me some pork. All right, you guys. Anything else? I'm out of here. I'm shutting it down.
Okay. Love always.
Yeah. Love always. Zack, Bart, Amy, and everybody in the chat. We love you. Talk to you guys next week.
Good night, all you kooky kids.
Good night.
All right. See you guys. Bye.